Hello and welcome to another Hit the Books review. On this episode, we review the end-all be-all finale of the Infinity Saga, Avengers Endgame.
Da, 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 da.
Stay tuned! Hello and welcome to another episode of Hit the Books podcast. On this episode, we're reviewing Avengers Endgame.
Ooh, it's finally here, folks.
So we're getting this review out a little bit late because I had to get my girlfriend caught up, and it was the last chance I had. So
Oh, yeah.
we got her caught up. We went to see it. A few weeks later, kind of had the full impression scope of everything. Didn't have to worry about spoilers anymore because the fucking Russos said that, hey, spoiler season is open on Monday. And I was like, well, fuck. We still got 3 movies to get her caught up on. But we made it. Just barely, but we made it.
Just barely stuck the landing.
So yeah, let's get on into it. For those of you unfamiliar with our reviews, we always do a spoiler-free opener where we talk about our impressions of the movie as vaguely as possible for your benefit, and then we give it kind of our rating, and then we give you an explicit spoiler warning, and then we jump right in to talk about every little spoiler detail that you could foresee in this movie.
Of which there are many.
This is a movie that has a lot of things to spoil. So if you've avoided spoilers up to this point, great job. Go see the movie now.
Please. You should see it.
Because there are some significant spoilers, and if you have somehow managed to avoid them, which I did not, yeah, it's worth going to before you find out what they are. So go ahead and go see the movie. If you have seen the movie, feel free to stick around. I think kind of impressions of this movie are kind of split between 2 groups in the kind of fandom. There's the groups that are a little down on it. I think you and I kind of fall into that category a little bit.
I think we do.
And then there's the groups that say, fuck it, they gave me all of these great movies. They gave me this, that, and, you know, I had great moments in the movie, and I don't care about the faults of it, so I'm going to push it over here. And those are the people that are, you know, very much on top of the world with this movie and are completely happy with it. And it's hard to say if either one's right or wrong. I personally feel like it's somewhere in the middle. But yeah, it's a weird feeling after you see this movie, being invested as a comic book fan and as a Marvel movie universe fan. I'm just very conflicted.
And I think I can sympathize with that. This is, for all intents and purposes, the movie that we've all been waiting for, or so we've been continually led to believe over the last couple of years now.
A lot of people who started this journey didn't survive to the end, so this has taken quite a while.
A lot of the characters in this story didn't survive to the end.
It's also true. Very true. Yeah, it's... I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities. I feel like there's a lot of squandered opportunities. And I feel like there's
a lot of open doors
as much as they give us, I feel like they just did it in a way that it was either too rushed, which is weird saying that about a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
Or it was just so drowned out by the silliness and the winking at the audience and the fans, like very heavy fan service, and just the constant Disney-esque jokes that only land about, you know, a quarter of the time now.
If that.
And it was everything I hate about Thor Ragnarok, but in the biggest, most heavily anticipated movie of my lifetime. And it's weird to feel this way.
Yeah. Hey, kids. You remember the story of Ragnarok? You know, the one that's supposed to detail the end of Thor and his people? The thing that Marvel, when they got their chance to shoot a movie out of it, turned into a fucking joke from start to finish?
Yeah, it became Planet Goldblum
Yeah.
and Friends.
You remember that movie where we got to see the bad guy win in the end? Where half of these characters, half of the characters that we've built up to this point, most of which were the ones that we were waiting to make more movies of,
Yep.
just got dusted?
Which we kind of announced way too quickly.
Yeah. You remember that and how, like, unprecedented that felt and how much it kind of hurt to watch these characters that you'd been kind of growing up with just disappear in a snap? Well, guess what? We're making it all a joke.
Yeah, it's all funny. Ha ha, guys. It's so funny your friends are dead.
No.
Your friends are all depressed.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna pull it back a little bit because they do make the attempt to be heartfelt.
And that's the problem. They attempt to make poignant, heartfelt scenes, and they fall flat on their face because it's immediately followed up by a bunch of stupid jokes that are inappropriate and out of place and out of touch with the tone of the previous movie, for sure.
It's kind of schizophrenic.
It's very schizophrenic.
In its feel. It's like, not schizophrenic, it's bipolar. This movie suffers from bipolar disorder. It's like, all of these things are sad, and I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack, and all these things are going wrong for me, and he peed himself. What the fuck is this movie?
Yeah, I don't know. So, again, without going into spoilers, we're probably not going to be popular for this review.
Oh, fuck no.
Because,
this
the
is gonna
fanboys out there are losing their minds. And if you don't get in line with that mantra, you're immediately just swept to the wind and attacked and whatever. But
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a controversial hot take.
This is not a fanboy thing. I think Shazam is by far the better movie in theaters right now. Hellboy's, Hellboy's Hellboy, but
did you see that one?
Not yet, but I've heard a lot of bad things. So
I've seen it. That's a movie.
Oh no, poor David Harbour.
He's the only good thing in it, as far as I'm concerned.
So yeah, I don't like feeling this way. I don't want to feel this way. And I keep trying to redeem the movie in my brain, listening to other people comment about it, like Kevin Smith, But I just can't get myself there as much as I want to. And that's what sucks the most, is that this was the big ending and I want to love it. And it's not a bad movie. It's just not great.
It's
for me. And that's what's most disappointing.
I think the thing that, at least in my mind, as a self-professed Marvel fanboy, the thing that makes Shazam, in my mind, a better movie than Avengers Endgame is consistency. There was a consistent feel. There was a consistent tone. There was a consistent moral throughout the story of Shazam. With Avengers Endgame, it's pick whichever one you like, because we're trying to cater to everyone.
Yeah.
And I get what they're trying to do. I appreciate what they're trying to do. And some of it works, and some of it doesn't. But I think it's the way, not necessarily that they shot the movie, but the way that they edited this together
Yeah,
that
it's
really
just-
hampers this whole movie.
and a lot of scenes feel like they had to be cut, and I'm sure they did. They
Yeah.
probably had like 5 hours of footage that they had to figure out how to cut down to 3.
Oh,
And
I'm sure
even
they
then
had like
were
6.
Yeah, and even then they were over 3. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that they had a lot of shit that they had to go through, with the Russo brothers, figuring out what to keep, what to get rid of. I mean, they filmed this all back to back with Infinity War. A lot of the scenes from both movies were filmed together.
Yeah.
Like the I would imagine that the whole Soul Stone scenes, where they're in the Soul Stone, little universe thingy, whatever the fuck it's called, I don't remember. The Mirror Lake thing from Infinity War.
Oh, yeah. That whole.
When they visit that thing in both movies, it looks pretty clear that they just filmed the same set twice with 2 different people, and
Yeah.
there's stuff like that in there that you recognize immediately. Now, I was noticing these things a lot more because I had watched Infinity War literally the day of. I watched it that morning.
Yeah.
Our apartment area's little theater. With my girlfriend and my brother Dan, the man Maloney from Hit the Mats podcast. Go ahead and check that out if you like wrestling. But having gone straight from that movie into Endgame, it was so clear that there was a tonal issue throughout the entire movie. Just nothing flowed right. Nothing was tonally consistent. Even scenes within the scenes were not tonally consistent. Whereas Infinity War was the exact opposite. There was a clear, coherent tone through the entire movie that benefited the movie and made it far more impactful and far more enjoyable for me. And quite frankly, I kind of want to watch Infinity War again just to wash the taste out of my mouth of Endgame. And again, it's
not to watch all of these heroes die.
I sound like I'm beating this movie to death. It's not bad. It's just a Marvel movie. I would definitely say it's better than Captain Marvel, who is kind of the worst part of this movie. Again, wasted opportunities on kind of a bad actress and kind of a lame character, which is kind of upsetting.
It's like you know who we're going to be in for a thrill ride when we have to take this emotionless block of wood and tell her to control yourself. Wait, what? She's not doing anything. She's like, she has the same face for like blasting through an entire like fleet of ships as she does for telling someone that their technology is cute, and it's like, oh, like I'll use some of your.
She has the everyday and emotional depth of like Spock. It's painful to watch Brie Larson. I still don't understand how Captain Marvel made over $1 billion. It's not, again, I know you hate the movie.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert for our review.
Oh,
of it,
yeah. I have conspiracy theories about that.
I don't. I mean, it was fine. It was a movie, but it was a Marvel movie. But which is to say, it's not bad, but it's definitely not good.
It's like it was pretty, and that was it.
Yeah. Jude Law's nice. He's fun to look at.
Yeah. He's like I wish that his name was Marvel, because like at least he had range.
It wasn't like watching paint dry. That was nice.
They also didn't fucking infantilize the character that's supposed to be the progenitor of the entire reason that all of these characters get together in the first place.
Okay, rant over about that. That's another review. Be sure to check that out if you like on our YouTube channel, on Stitcher, on iTunes.
Yep, hold me back. Hold me back.
On Spotify.
Thinking about that movie, even thinking about it makes me mad.
But yeah, I feel like we can't really get too much more in depth without being spoilery, because again, there are a lot of spoilers.
Yeah, the spoiler embargo's lifted.
But it's still, we got to maintain the status quo of our reviews.
Okay.
Before we get into it, though, I just want to give you some numbers here. So, coming straight from IMDb, it's currently sitting at an 8.5 for user reviews.
To the
And
surprise of no one.
sitting much lower critically at a 78, which, I'm probably far more in line with the critical reviews. Endgame is a little bit lower on the user reviews and higher on the critical reviews, which, again, I'm probably more in line with. And as far as money made, as of May 6th, we're recording this on May 8th, the movie had grossed 2.2 billion with a B. Dolores. Yeah, it's made a lot of money.
Yep.
And it didn't take very long. I think it's been out, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, somewhere around there?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Definitely not a full month.
This is the reaction that Marvel has paid for.
Yep. Came out the weekend of April 28th, and we are now May 8th, sorry.
Sounds about right.
So, yeah, about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. That's, yep. It's made a lot of money. A lot of money.
Yep.
It's going to keep printing money.
It's so far,
as it probably should.
It's outpaced Titanic, as far as movies of all time. The next one that people are projecting it to outpace, potentially, is Avatar.
Which is the number one. But let's be real. Avatar made as much money as it did because it came out way later than movies like Titanic. So inflation is there.
Yeah.
The ticket prices were horrendous because the 3D bullshit IMAX technology was brand new. And that's the only reason people went to see that movie.
Come see it in 3D. It'll blow your fucking balls off.
That movie is as mediocre as it can possibly be. And I was glad when I saw on the news that they delayed the production of those sequels even more because they should stop. Stop while you're ahead. Just let it be. James Cameron, do something else, please.
Oh, you don't want
for the love of God.
You don't want a sequel to Dances with Wolves?
No, and Dances with Wolves was much better. This is garbage.
Come on, you don't like Fern Gully?
I'm blue. Just stupid. The movie's just it's so mediocre. It was pretty. Hasn't aged well, but it was pretty when it came out. That's the problem with movies with those. They don't age well when the whole premise is fancy new technology.
Yeah.
Doesn't stay new very long.
Yeah,
your average video game looks better than that movie now.
Oh my God, it does.
It's a problem. It's a problem. So, yeah, movie's doing very well. Now, whether we like this movie or not, you'll find out soon. This movie is collecting on an investment of a decade plus of movies, work, coordination, actors and actresses committing to all of these projects, long-term contracts. There's a big reason why, other than narrative reasons, why a lot of characters are no longer existing in the current Marvel universe after this movie. And it's not all entirely, narrative. It's there's a lot of financial burdens that were shed on this movie. And understandably so. So, this is the culmination of a ton of work by people like the Russo brothers, like, Whedon and Kevin Feige and
Favreau,
and just everybody has put in so much effort and commitment and investment into these projects, and they deserve every dollar that they're getting.
They do.
I don't think that this is the movie out of the two for the finale that should be earning the bigger bucks, but it is because it is the finale. It is the casual layman's everyday finale. Here's the official end of this whole decade of investment.
Yeah, this is this as far as the Avengers that we started off with, this is their last hurrah.
Yep.
And of course, everyone and their mother came out to see the last hurrah of everyone's favorite heroes, twice, maybe 3 times at this point.
Yep.
It's this is the kind of cultural phenomenon that has actually gone on to have every other cinematic studio try to come up with their own thing. Dark universe, cinematic universe, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, and most of them have not gone well. DC, looking at you.
Yeah, The Mummy is like
Mummy,
the
yep.
only movie.
Boy, they
Whew.
fall short on that one.
Yeah, Tom Cruise had 2 chances to get in on a cinematic universe. One he passed, and the other he just
Fell on his face.
Yep, fell straight on his face.
Yep.
Ooh.
So let's go ahead and give this movie a rating. Again, I don't want to take, too much away from the movie. The movie gave us conclusions to a lot of things. It wrapped up a decade of investment. It gave us some really great moments, legitimately great moments, and enjoyable moments. And I did enjoy my time. This movie didn't feel long. I felt like it was paced pretty well.
Yeah,
in fact, I felt it was probably too short for what they were trying to do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just a casualty of having this many characters and this many narratives and this many threads to wrap up,
And like doing this under the promise of this is the last movie. I honestly,
Yeah,
I would have made
we
this
gotta
2
get
movies.
it all in now because we're done. There's nothing left to invest in. It's kind of like the Aquaman movie. Like Aquaman had every single Aquaman story ever shoehorned into this one movie. Because I'm pretty sure they were like, well, fuck it. We're not going to get this opportunity again.
You've only got one shot.
Let's just do it all, man. That's exactly what they did. Fortunately, to its detriment, but it made a lot of money, just like this money.
Yeah.
This movie. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just like this money. Oh, no. No, we're not shills. We're not shills, I promise. We would have much better production if we were.
So again, I don't want to beat this movie up too much because it did a lot of great things.
It
honestly,
did.
The acting was great. I mean, that's what happens when you have so many A-list actors and actresses.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody had a bad performance except Brie Larson, who was just like so boring to watch. And I think a lot of even the people that didn't shine as much as they usually do, I think it's because they were trying to keep secrets from them.
Right.
There's a few actors that immediately come to mind where it's just like their performances didn't really hit the keys they needed to, but I think it's because when they were doing the scene, they didn't know what the context was.
Yeah.
Because the Russos literally kept everything secret from just about everybody, especially the ones that are notoriously irresponsible, like Tom Holland.
Yeah. Except for Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. gets to read that script from beginning to end.
Because he's responsible. And so his performance reflects that.
And also he's the cornerstone. He gets special privileges.
That also helps. But in the end, I didn't love this movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it. But honestly, I kind of, I might watch it one more time to see if I still feel the same. But after that, I probably won't ever watch it again. I would watch Infinity War multiple times right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has emotional depth that's consistent, that I can actually dive into and enjoy. It has, highs and lows. It has, appropriate, moments for each of the characters, even though it has probably a wider net that it has to cast for its crew, because everybody's alive.
It was consistently serious.
It still gave all the characters some significant screen time and development time throughout the movie, whereas I think Endgame, even though it's longer and has less characters to focus on, does not. At least in my opinion. I want to give it, somewhere around a 6 or a 7. Who knows? My feelings might evolve on that. I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt because it is the culmination of 10 years of hard work and investment and success and consistency. So I'm going to give it the 7, but that's a very, for me, it's a very tense 7. Like, it's real rocky, and I don't know if on second viewing, if I'll still feel the same.
It's a teetering 7 for you.
I think as far as the concepts on paper for everything they did, it works. But I think they just executed it poorly. And, there's probably several reasons for that, but in my opinion, it just fell short, even though everything on paper should work. So I give it a 7.
I'm actually going to give it a 6. We've had 10 years to develop this entire universe. And in those 10 years, it seems as though there's been one growing consistent tone throughout these movies. And that is, we're going to try to make jokes at every possible opportunity. And that, I think no matter how they cut this movie, the fact that they kept all of those jokes in shows me what it is that they wanted from this movie, which was to, I don't know, make me think that I need to lighten up when it's like I wanted resolution. I don't need the annihilation of half of the life throughout the universe to be made light of.
Yeah.
Half the universe died, and the most you're going to give me is...
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. The most you're going to give me are just a few scenes of people just, like, dealing with it. I'm giving it a 6 because pacing-wise and tone-wise, this movie didn't know what it wanted me to feel. And honestly, I don't think that the movie itself knows what it wanted to feel at the time.
Yeah.
And I think the movie suffers for it.
It's true. Yeah, I would agree with that. And quite honestly, I'm almost directly in line with you on the 6. It's just, I want to give it the benefit of the doubt because I've only seen it once and only immediately after Infinity War. So
right.
I feel like maybe my perspective's a little skewed. And again, I did have a few spoilers completely just ruin a handful of moments. Well, I don't know if it ruined the moments, but it definitely didn't feel anything.
Right.
And that could have been because it was spoiled, or it could have been because, the scenes were just lacking that emotional depth that it needed.
Right.
Because of all the joking and all the kind of pacing issues with clearly cut scenes and stuff like that. So, and obviously actors that didn't know what the hell they were supposed to be acting around. So yeah, there was a lot of that, and it was an issue. I'm changing my score. It's a 6.
I'm actually lowering my score.
I enjoyed the experience. I'm giving it. All right. I'm going to edit this in after we give our original scores. After discussing it in depth, I'm giving it a 6.
I'm giving it a 5.
Yep, we both lowered it. Because the more we talk about it, the more we expose to each other.
Oh, yeah. This is like even more, like the more I think about it, the less it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a problem. So yeah, let's get into spoilers. Again, explicit spoiler warning from Emery and I. Do not listen past this point. If you have not seen the movie, you're going to spoil it for yourself. Don't do it. It happened to me. I wasn't even trying. But it happened. All right, let's get into it.
Spoilers!
We gave you the warning. So, the two big death scenes in the movie.
The two big ones.
Black Widow sacrificing herself in place of Hawkeye. That got spoiled for me in 2 ways.
Oh!
The first way it got spoiled was on a internet thread about the Blue Jackets versus the Boston Bruins.
Oh!
Somebody put it in the comments on a hockey forum.
Oh no!
Just to piss people off.
What an asshole!
I happened to catch it, and they literally said not only that Black Widow dies, but Black Widow specifically sacrifices herself to the Soul Stone so they can get the Soul Stone. So that entire part of the plot was spoiled for me, which already kind of told me what was going to happen in the overarching story.
Right.
So that kind of sucked. Now, I was hoping that the guy was bullshitting and that I'd watch the movie and be like, oh, that wasn't what happened. Thank God. It didn't get spoiled for me. But it totally happened exactly the way they said it did.
Lo and behold, yeah, that is actually a thing that happened.
So thank you,
in this
assholes
movie.
on the internet. And this was way before the Russos gave their spoiler clearance.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other one, Tony Stark dying. This one was not explicitly told to me, but it's something we kind of all assumed was going to happen, But that being said, there was still the doubt in my mind, and I would have probably enjoyed the scene a little bit more if I hadn't had that spoiled, but of course it was spoiled for me. And of course memes are not helpful. There's always fucking memes out there that you just see just daily internet browsing on Google. Google's the worst. Google puts these goddamn articles underneath the search bar.
Oh.
Anytime you look at Google on like an Android phone, or I don't know, maybe it's the same for iPhones, but if you try to Google something, it will recommend these fucking articles for you. And half of the fucking article titles are spoilers. And you can't put spoilers in the title even though you put spoilers at the beginning of the title. Because I'm going to see the entire thing, the entire title, when I look at the little button thing. And So I had to constantly just shut off my phone because every time I'd go to Google something, it would be fucking popping up on the bottom. Endgame spoilers, and then I'd try to avert my eyes and close my eyes and try to swipe it away before it was too late. So, unfortunately, what I should have done is seen the movie immediately and then taken my girlfriend to go later and just said, whatever, I'm going alone. You'll have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because
like I literally did that to avoid exactly what happened to you.
Yeah. And it sucks. It sucks, dude. People are assholes.
Yeah.
It really sucks.
Yeah.
And
it's fucking terrible.
I don't watch Game of Thrones, but the big spoiler for what happened with the ice guy, like, I don't watch the show. I have no context beyond the first season for that show because I stopped watching it after the first season.
I'm still trying to get through the books.
And literally the day after it happened, literally that Monday morning, I got on my phone, was flipping through Facebook, and there's just memes telling you exactly what fucking happened. And I knew exactly what Arya Stark did and how she did it because of memes.
Yeah.
The day after. And I'm like, dude, people have to work. They have to, a lot of people use the HBO app to watch it like the next day and the day after.
Yeah.
Why are you spoiling it literally the night of and the morning of?
A lot of people have responsibilities. A lot of people have day jobs.
People are assholes.
Where they, go to sleep at a reasonable hour. Yeah. So they can get up and work and earn money and, contribute to society. And what do you guys do? Let's make a meme.
Yeah. It also doesn't help that Marvel is terrible at making trailers without spoiling the entire movie and the entire plot of the movie.
Which is why the Spider-Man Far From Home intro to the trailer is fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem. God damn, dude. They're so bad with spoilers. They're the worst. That's the one thing DC does consistently way better than them is trailers. I don't know why Marvel sucks at trailers, but they suck at trailers.
Right.
They're awful at trailers.
But
they tell us way too much. They announce all the movies way too early. They announce the titles of all the movies way too early. They explain the plots of the entire movie way too early. Just they shoot themselves in the foot all the time. They don't care because they're still printing money at will, but it's a problem. They need to figure out their marketing a little better.
Don't worry. DC, who still has that trailer magic, has finally figured out what a good movie is.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it came out earlier this year.
Didn't earn enough money, so I'm kind of worried that they're gonna be like, "Well, fuck, this didn't make $1 billion like we wanted." Back to the coke. What we need more of? Jared Leto.
So about Aquaman.
Birds of Prey? No Batwoman? No Batgirl? No nothing? That sounds good, right?
Yeah.
Led by Harley Quinn.
Wait, I thought the script called it wasn't Birds of Prey. It was just the emancipation of Harley Quinn. No, Birds of Prey!
It's a problem. It's a problem.
It's definitely a problem.
But yeah. So full context, I had major moments in the movie spoiled for me. Other moments I didn't have spoiled for me, but I pretty much figured out what they were going to do. I think we talked about this several years ago on the podcast where we're making our predictions for Endgame and Infinity War.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I called out the Ant-Man plot of bullshit quantum realm shenanigans.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I predicted that right off the bat.
Like, I think The minute that we realized in the trailer that Ant-Man is the one who, like, not only survives the snap,
Yeah.
but Captain America immediately makes a big deal out of
Yeah.
Quantum Realm.
Yeah.
Quantum Realm immediately.
I figured it out right after they had the quantum realm in the first Ant-Man movie. So I was like, well, fuck, that's how they're going to do it. Yeah. And then it was just confirmed when in Infinity War, Doctor Strange dies. And I was like, well, you had two routes. You had magic with the time stone and some other bullshit, and you had quantum realm. And now we only got one option. Clearly that's going to happen. And it did. But yeah, the movie opens with kind of the fallout of what happens after Infinity War.
Oh, that cold open, though.
Yeah.
That cold open.
It didn't last long enough.
I'm going to tell you right now, in the first viewing, I just said, like, oh, no.
Yeah.
It was like...
It didn't do anything for me. It didn't last long enough. That's the problem.
It wasn't long enough for you to, like, be able to stew in that. But for me, is like it was, for me personally, it was exactly long enough for me to feel the terror of watching someone who has no idea what's happening in this world and just watching it happen to them is like, oh my God, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He doesn't know.
Yeah. There's two things there. Like, I don't think that Hawkeye sold it very well. I don't know why I can't remember his name right now.
Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner, thank you. I don't think he's very good at selling sadness. He's good at selling anger and stoicness. He's not so good at selling sadness.
Sadness,
I just
probably not. I don't think they've forced him to do sadness enough. See, that's the job of the director. The director is supposed to, like, if you have to weep like a bitch, the director's job is to make that actor weep like a bitch.
And no one does.
No one.
That's the big problem with this movie.
Everyone's just kind of sullen.
Everybody should be weeping like a bitch, and really the only one that sells it is Scarlett Johansson. And she doesn't even do it when it's happening. She does it way after the fact when she's crying over Hawkeye being a douche. And murdering people. That's what makes her cry. Not
which
that
is
all of her friends are gone.
Wait, you mean to tell me that the trained assassin, the one who had been killing before Hawkeye had saved her?
Yeah.
The one
who had been bred from childhood to just be a cold, heartless murderer.
The person who was taken in by another cold, heartless murderer.
Yeah.
Is weeping because they've gone back to killing.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's a problem. So, yeah, it's a problem. So this movie does everything it should do. It just doesn't do it effectively. And the beginning of the movie, for me, they just don't dwell on these things long enough, and none of the actors are really selling it very well. So for me, the emotional impact was lost. The emotional impact was 100% there in Infinity War. And I've watched it multiple times, including right before the movie, and fuck, it still makes me cry. Like, it still gets me right there. Especially Peter Parker. He's the worst.
Oh my God.
Spider-Man is so... Watching Spider-Man whine and cry Tony Stark that he doesn't want to die. That's
literally no one in the Marvel Universe sells fear like Tom Holland.
Dude, he's so good. He's so fucking good. We don't deserve him.
we don't deserve him, and
it sucks that he spoils everything in his interviews, which is why he's not allowed to act anymore. But God, he's when he does act, he's fucking amazing.
Yeah, when he does act, both thank you and also how dare you make me feel like I'm Aunt May whenever I'm watching a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. So, by itself, would it probably have had some impact? Sure. But standing next to Infinity War, it had no impact for me. Just nothing. I felt nothing, and it sucked because I wanted to feel something, and I just didn't. But the Avengers, in their anger, They get together. They go figure out where Thanos is, thanks to the MacGuffin of Captain Marvel. And they go to his hippie commune where the bully from anger management went to. They give him a wedgie or two, and then Thor chops off his head in anger. Thanos has destroyed the Soul Stones now that his job has been done, and decided to become a hermit.
Yeah,
And,
the Infinity Stones were destroyed by using the Infinity Stones to destroy the Infinity Stones. Wait.
Okay. What?
Fuck it. Whatever.
That's fine. Again, I don't have too many problems with the actual plot. I have problems with the portrayal of the plot. That's why I kind of give it the benefit of the doubt and push it to a 7.
I have some problems with the plot.
There's some holes, especially towards the end there.
There's
a few holes.
There's a gaping hole.
There
is like
there's some holes.
There's a gaping, wide open hole,
But when
and
you're,
it literally.
when you're coordinating something this big, I get it. You're not gonna get it all right, but there's some holes, including in Vision's head, who was never mentioned in this entire movie.
Ooh.
Yeah, you remember that guy that
Ooh.
Scarlet Witch is in love with, and we make such a big deal about him being a living, breathing organism who is thinking and has a soul and all this stuff. Yeah, no one gave a shit about Vision anymore. Tony didn't try to save him. There's just nothing. That thread was fucking washed away.
Yeah.
So fuck
yeah.
Vision. That guy didn't matter, and neither did Age of Ultron.
Poor Paul Bettany.
Yep.
He had one of the most impactful scenes
Yep.
in the previous movie, which is critically better. But in this movie, we don't even hear his name.
Nope.
We don't even hear his name once.
Nope. We just completely forget he existed.
Not even when...
He's not even on the wall, I'm pretty sure. The little shrine. I'd bet you money that he's nowhere on there.
Do robot people not count? Is that what this is?
Clearly not.
Roboists.
Yep. It's Andrew Yang's fault. We're all scared of the robots.
Yep.
Yep. I'm voting for Andrew Yang. There's some things that are just left untouched and unsaid and just
unresolved
completely, and just emotional things that should be emotional but just don't have any kind of levity or kind of gravitas to them, and it kind of sucks. And this intro for me is a perfect example where they're close. They're trying to get there, but they're just not giving it enough time to breathe and enough room to breathe before they're doing all the stupid stuff and introducing the MacGuffin of Captain Marvel. And just...
that I think is the strange paradox of this movie, is that while this movie is 3 fucking hours, about as much time as Zack Snyder needs to make a coherent plot.
Coherent. That's funny. That's not the word I'd use.
I was being generous.
Wow, very.
This is a rare case of a movie that had and earned all of the time in the world, and strangely... only, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it only gave us 3 hours to resolve this. This should have been 2 movies. This should have been 2 3-hour movies.
Honestly, I think the main plot of the movie should have just been Ant-Man 3. It should have just been an Ant-Man movie featuring the Avengers.
Oh my God, that would have been amazing.
All the time traveling things and all the comedy of doing all of this stuff. That should have been an Ant-Man movie.
It actually would have given
some of the Avengers.
It could have actually given Wasp and
tonally, it would have made a lot more sense.
Wasp could have been something of a leader. this would have been.
I just feel like that would have fixed a lot of these problems.
There's a lot of missed opportunities here.
Yeah.
They tried to make this one big old slam jam. Thank you, ma'am. It was like all of your favorite character fest. They're all gonna show up.
Yeah. It's like Civil War. Civil War was a Captain America movie. It was not an Avengers movie, and it had a different tone than the normal Avengers movies, and I think it worked.
Yeah. A lot of other characters show up,
Yeah.
but it is a Captain America movie.
At heart. That's the focus. Obviously Iron Man is a big focus of that movie as well, but not really until the end. It's more about Captain America resisting this trend and then having to defend his buddy, the Winter Soldier, and all this stuff,
Right.
I think that's what they should have done with this movie. I think the whole first half, first 3/4 of the movie should have been an Ant-Man movie, and then the Endgame portion of it should have been the big, satisfying conclusion. We got Ant-Man and the Wasp in between. Honestly, I think they should have done Ant-Man and the Wasp, before, because there's no reason for that movie to be after other than the secret ending.
Yeah.
They should have made Ant-Man 2 and then done Infinity War and then done Endgame. That's what I think they should have done.
Yeah, this should have been like that.
Ant-Man 3 in between.
Yeah, Infinity War, and in our idea here, Ant-Man 3 and then Avengers Endgame. This should have been like the... So, Infinity War, amazing movie. What we're proposing here would have been basically like Back to the Future Part 2 and Back to the Future Part 3.
Yeah, something along those lines. Although Back to the Future Part 3 is awful.
Okay, better. we would have done a better job. There's like a lot of what did make it into Endgame. I would have put all of that and then have them meet up with like, oh, this thing that happened in Ant-Man 3 is like, now we're coming over to here in Quantum Realm, and this is how this one character fixes all of your bullshit.
Yeah. Again, there's nothing we can do about it. It's what's done is done. Hindsight's 20/20, but I think that would have probably been a much better approach to it.
Right. I think that would have given more time to each of those actors' scenes where we could have actually felt
we could have a softer introduction
feel.
of the more comical, nonsensical things like the Buddy Hulk thing, and the Fat Thor.
You mean fucking Mr. Fix-It and Volstagg the second?
Oh God. We could have a soft introduction for those things in the story of an Ant-Man 3 context where it is supposed to be, humorous and funny and comical, and then get into Avengers 3, or I'm sorry, this kind of Infinity War 3 part section. I don't know what to call it. And then you get serious again, and you kind of go back to kind of the mood that was centered in Infinity War and kind of complete the story in that one. And that way you have more time for everybody to actually show what they can do. You have more time to present. You don't have to worry about cutting it down to a 3-hour movie when it probably should be an 8-hour movie or something.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just being silly about it, but I think it would have benefited a lot by splitting it up a little bit and maybe taking some of the expectation out of the room by making it an Ant-Man movie for the middle one.
Right. That's the movie that we needed in between.
Yeah, because at its core, it's an Ant-Man movie.
Right.
And Avengers Endgame, it's an Ant-Man movie. That's kind of the core of the movie.
Let's just completely take out Captain Marvel while we're at it.
Yes. Captain Marvel, the movie, and Captain Marvel, the character, do not need to exist in this saga at all for any of this stuff to happen. She contributes literally nothing. She is nothing but a MacGuffin to make Tony Stark come back to Earth really easily. Which you didn't have to do because the ship fucking worked on the planet. Why couldn't you stay on the planet and then fix the ship on the planet with all the fucking space shit that's surrounding you on the planet?
Right.
Why are we taking the ship that doesn't fly out into outer space so we can float to our deaths? You literally had everything you needed to repair your Iron Man suit and the ship on the planet that you were just on.
Yeah, about that. So have we just completely overlooked the whole an object in motion stays in motion in the vacuum of space?
Yeah, for a movie that relies a lot on science for its plot, it doesn't know a lot about science.
It really fucking doesn't.
Like
It's like
Aquaman before the Sahara was a desert. And,
this is why people are stupid now.
Yeah,
Our movies are getting dumber.
They're getting a lot dumber.
It's like
if you don't know what you're talking about, maybe don't use science as an explanation.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
It's if anything, not only should they have fixed all of their shit on Titan, where all of the technology was available. It might have been like derelict because everyone was dead, but it was there. The parts were there.
Hey, most of the Infinity Stone radiation is gamma ray, so Hulk can survive it.
Can he?
Science.
Can he?
We didn't need that explanation. That was just wasted time.
It
was stupid. The Infinity Stones don't need a scientific explanation for how they release radiation.
It's like if they're
magical bullshit stones.
Right.
Just let them be magical bullshit stones.
It's like they mostly give off gamma waves. Don't try to ground this as any kind of reality. God damn it.
Thetans, Scientology or... What do they call the Force? Metachlorians? Is that what it is? Yeah.
I was hoping people forgot that word.
That's what saying that the fucking Infinity Stones run off of
gamma radiation. God.
That's what that is the equivalent to.
Okay.
Just stupid.
That opens up a huge fucking plot hole. If gamma radiation powers the Hulk, why the fuck did he not turn into like full-blown Savage Hulk when he had not 1, not 2, not 3 or 4 or 5, but all fucking 6 stones?
We do what we want. So again, we get past the part where we've killed Thanos, and then it jumps into 5 years in the future. You kind of see a little bit of the fallout with the normal people. There is a nice little cameo, and I don't know if you noticed it in the beginning there. They have Thanos' creator in the room as part of the little help group. I can't remember his name. It's
Jim Starlin?
Thank you.
Yeah. He wasn't the only cameo in that room.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The guy talking about the date that he was going on, that was one of the Russos.
Oh, yeah, I did notice that. I thought you meant like a comic.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I did enjoy that. That was pretty funny. I was kind of... did the other brother get to do anything?
Direct.
Okay.
It's like one brother got to direct the other brother.
Movies, but, only one Russo gets a scene. It's funny.
One Russo does the talking. The other one does directing.
Yeah. But so we kind of see the fallout of everything. It's 5 years later. Some people have gotten over it more than others. Other people's haven't. There's lost, looking for signs everywhere. Pretty much all of these places are more or less just empty, kind of barren. Now, I think this stuff's a little bit exaggerated. Honestly, they're doing it for effect. It would make more sense if it was like a month from the date where we're still trying to figure out how to handle everything now that half of our workforce is gone and half of our...
Right. Yeah, 5 years. I'm expecting
sorry.
Everyone to be like full on completely jaded.
Yeah, and come on. There's 350 million people in America alone. Half of that, 175 million people are still there. That's still a lot of fucking people.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure we're still running okay.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's still sports games going on.
It's like
tickets are probably a little cheaper.
It's like I give people like the first 2 years of that to grieve and get over. Like I watched my loved ones turn to dust.
Yeah. What is it?
Year 5, we're just like,
are we at 8 billion people on the planet Earth? I'm pretty sure 4 billion people is a lot of people still, and I'm pretty sure we had 4 billion people on the planet somewhere in like the 70s or something like that.
Oh yeah,
because we're exponentially increasing. So we went back like 30 years, 40 years worth of human history and population size. It's still a lot of fucking people, and we were overpopulated in the 70s too. So
here's the thing that this is the completely jaded part of me coming out here. you know what usually happens when, a population gets low? People start fucking.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of kids born during that time. I mean, even fucking Pepper Potts got some. But let's face it, she wasn't getting any before.
Yeah, yep, nope.
But Tony's like, hey, we got 5 years to be depressed. Let's fuck. You're not getting any younger. Let's pop those ovaries.
Those parts still work, right?
As long as she didn't put any of her Goop products in there.
Oh no!
Look,
we're talking about Pepper Potts, not Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, excuse me, sorry. I have trouble separating the two, which is why every time I see her on screen, I cringe. She is legitimately a great actress, but I hate her as a person. And it makes it so hard for me to like her on screen. So hard. I try so hard, but I just can't. I just can't.
Bee stings.
Yeah. It's a problem. Oh, God. Let's shove a golden egg up your vagina. That'll fix your problems. Fucking stupid. I hate the world. I hate this movie. Maybe we do need a snap of the fingers. There's too many dumb people on this planet.
Hey, look.
I'm probably one of them. I'll eat that sacrifice for you.
Look, the Sonic 2019 trailer came out, man.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
I already believe that Thanos was right.
I'm kind of into Jim Carrey though. Like weirdly so. Not so much that Sonic. I'm glad they're redesigning it.
I mean, I'm
glad they caved.
This is old school, like 90s Jim Carrey that we got back.
I'm all about it. I'm totally about. I'm all on board. Silly Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah.
I have trouble with serious philosophy Jim Carrey. That's where I'm like, ooh, you sound a little crazy, brother. I'm kind of on board with some of what you're saying, but some of what you're saying is a little bit too much. And it's at least you're not selling goop. So
give it a minute.
I can't hate you for having thoughts and opinions. And in fact, I love you, Jim Carrey. But do more silly stuff. You're more fun that way. But yeah, I like the threads they were tying. I like that how some characters are just still kind of devastated and in a dark place. Hawkeye is clearly in a dark place, although I think the whole concept of Ronin is kind of silly in this movie. It was just fan service. It was there to be fan service.
Yeah, it was. Not only was it fan service, it was like from out of nowhere. It was like I was half expecting John Cena to fucking show up. This shit was so out of fucking nowhere.
I use a bow my entire life. That's all I ever use, and that's what I'm famous for being good at. So now I'm going to get a sword and start murdering people because my family went to dust.
Oh, yeah. This is what I get for not being a hero this whole time. I gotta make up for lost time by cutting people down wherever I fucking can. What?
Yeah. And
Are you kidding me?
That entire Tokyo scene could have been cut out entirely. There you go.
Okay.
You got 15 minutes that you can add depth to this movie with.
Okay. You know what that Tokyo scene should have been? The beginning of Hawkeye's television series.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
That's a good approach. I approve of that idea.
Yeah, like that should have been like the mystery of Hawkeye. Is like, what the fuck has he been doing? Who the fuck is this Ronin guy? Yeah. Why is he cutting bitches left and right?
By the way, I'm pretty sure we're going to see what happened in Budapest with the Black Widow movie. Because they just wouldn't stop talking about it. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the Black Widow movie. Just letting you know. You heard it here first.
It was like, hey, you know that line that Joss Whedon just kind of threw in there? It was like, yeah, you and I remember Budapest very differently.
Yeah,
we're about to
find out.
We're about to write an entire movie around a throwaway Joss Whedon line.
Is it wrong that I want them to fuck? I kind of want them to fuck in that movie.
Okay, to be fair, everyone wants them to fuck.
Let's get it over with.
It's like the entire time that the two of them share screen time together.
He's married. Your uterus doesn't work. His wife disappeared. You're good.
It's
Just get it out of your system.
Like there's literally no consequences except for maybe a little bit of guilt.
You know what makes you a little less murderous?
Fucking.
Getting laid. Yeah. Shooting your shot.
And it's like, okay.
Not cheating. She's dead. You're good. Uterus doesn't work.
I'm surprised. I'm actually kind of surprised that we didn't hear even a hint, like a little smidge, like a little drop of something like that happening between the two of them. It's like the entire time between the two of them completely platonic. See, I think that's bullshit.
If they didn't destroy her uterus, what I think would have been funny is if they had a kid during this 5 years, and then his family comes back.
Oh,
and they have to awkwardly explain that he had a kid with Scarlett.
No, he wouldn't. He would say, "Oh, hey, this is my boy that I had while you were gone. Where is his mother? She's dead."
Something's not adding up here.
Like, how old is that child? 5. How old are all of you? What the?
Honestly, we should just make up funny story ideas for the people during this 5 years. Because I guarantee you, when all these motherfuckers came back, we're talking 4 billion people came back just
out of nowhere.
That caused a lot of problems, I guarantee you. There was probably bridges fucking collapsing. There was probably like fucking people popping up during like awful like sex sessions.
It's like, where did
weird
these people show up?
Yeah, they had to show up somewhere.
Right. It's like, okay, I get it. It was like for the sake of...
What if you were like rock climbing when you got snapped and then you come back and you're just like, oh, fuck. You just fall off a mountain to your death. I'm pretty sure a lot of people died. Like died when they came back.
It wasn't a perfect snap.
Did Hulk think about where they were going to land? I don't think so. He was thinking about Scarlett.
I really tried to bring her back.
I keep calling Scarlett Johansson by her actual name. Black Widow.
Like
Not
you
to
said,
be confused with Scarlet Witch.
Like you said, it's hard to separate the actress from the character.
And thankfully, I like Scarlett Johansson quite a bit.
Except for when she's doing Ghost in the Shell.
Not Gwyneth Paltrow. Well, that's not her fault. They gave her a lot of money. She's like, you really want me to say no to that?
Fine. I'm
sorry.
not doing movies now.
I wasn't the one who casted me.
They won't give me a Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
Although now you're going to get it.
Budapest. I'm telling you. That's what it's going to be. So yeah, we are finally at the introduction of the movie.
Finally.
We got 2 hours and 45 minutes to go.
Yep.
So Mickey Mouse is running around the garage of this little place where the van has been stored from the after scene of Ant-Man 2. And Mickey Mouse hits a button, and Ant-Man is brought out of the quantum realm.
I'm going to save your universe like I'm going to save the company. Huh?
Oh, analogies for reality. Huh? I saved your brand.
Huh? Symbolism.
So Ant-Man comes back. He's been in the quantum realm for 5 years. Doesn't realize how long it's been because for him it felt like 5 hours. I think that's what he said, 5 hours.
Yeah, for him it was 5 hours.
So he goes out of the little depot there and is looking around and seeing all the kind of signs and how empty the place feels, which again, San Francisco is fucking packed. I guarantee you there's still just as many homeless people shitting on the road as there were before, and there's just as much traffic.
No, there's half as many. Thank you very much.
Yeah, not for long. Place is a fucking homeless magnet.
Yeah, it is. God.
So
Ugh.
he goes wandering around trying to figure out what's going on. He asks the kid, what happened? The kid looks at him like, what are you an asshole? What's going on?
Yeah.
Rides his bike away.
I'm surprised the kid didn't tell him to fuck off.
Yeah. And he goes to the house where I'm assuming his Well, I guess he looked up her address somehow because he didn't see her on the wall. He was looking for his daughter on the little memorial.
Right.
And he didn't see her
yeah.
name, but he saw his name.
Yeah.
And I guess he figured out her address somehow and went to it. And he sees his daughter, who is 5 years older, which I thought was an awesome scene. And again, probably should have had more weight to it, but because of the weird context we were all in, up to this point, it's still kind of like, okay, there's still some emotional depth. They haven't been making too many jokes yet, although the Depot thing was a whole big joke, which again, just there's too many. It's too forced.
Yeah.
When it's like here and there, it works really well and it's really effective, but when it's constant bombardment with stupid jokes that just don't need to be there, that's when it ruins the experience, and that's what Marvel's been kind of bad at as of late, and Disney movies in general, really. But I thought of all the scenes in the movie, that one had some pretty significant impact to me. I kind of wanted to see like the stepdad be the only one that was left, like the wife was gone.
Ooh,
that's kind of, just I thought.
Oh my god!
I thought personally that would have been great if the stepdad was the one that raised his daughter for the last 5 years while she thought both her real parents were dead.
Yeah,
I thought that would have been awesome.
Ooh,
and
my god!
It probably would have built a relationship a little bit too, but which is already pretty good according to Ant-Man 2, which is weird how it took a total 180, but
right.
But I thought that had a lot of impact, and it was kind of like interesting seeing her growing up, and he realizes, he missed half her life because he was in jail, and now he missed the other half of her life because he was in the quantum realm and had no idea that everybody was fucking dead.
He keeps missing out on his daughter's life.
And it was kind of tragic, and I kind of like,
yeah.
Again, this should have been an Ant-Man movie. Like, if that was given the time to actually kind of flow and breathe a little, that would have been probably the heaviest moment in the movie for me.
Yeah, that would have made for an amazing scene in an Ant-Man movie.
And it's something that doesn't even need to be said. It's just you realize that he lost out on her entire life. He was not there.
This was a perfect example of how to properly show, don't tell.
Yeah, it was done so well, and I wish it would have been given more room to breathe. But we move on. Ant-Man kind of gets the idea, hey, time doesn't work the same down there. Maybe we can figure something out. And so he goes to the Avengers headquarters, which we saw in the trailer. Again, stop spoiling everything in the goddamn trailers. Goes to the Avengers headquarters, Again, this is where for me it takes a turn for the worse in terms of tone, because from here on out it's nothing but comedy and silliness, and just every great moment is completely ruined by unnecessary comedy moments.
Yeah,
and it doesn't stop. It just goes.
They
rest
laid it
of
on
the movie.
real fucking thick.
Really, it doesn't stop until like the wrap up scenes at the very end of the movie. Up to that point, it's all just comedy nonsense, and it just tonally just doesn't work with what they should have been trying to do, I would think, post Infinity War.
I will say that there are a couple of things that in the comedy that were amazing. I will say that.
We may not agree. We'll see.
We may not agree, but like these are things that work well in isolation, but when you put it in this movie, like it kind of goes against what this movie's doing.
If the comedy stuff was happening in Ant-Man 3, I'd be all about it. In Avengers post Infinity War, not so much, but again, that's just me. So we get introduced to the new version of Hulk, which is just Buddy Ruffalo. I don't know how to call him. I don't know.
This is Mr. Fix-It. This is neutered Hulk. I'm surprised they didn't make him gray for this one, because that's usually what they do in the comics with this version.
It's Mark Ruffalo embodied by the Hulk. They explain that he has shot himself up with a bunch of radiation to kind of fully transform himself permanently, but he is still in charge. My biggest problem with this is we just left that entire Hulk thread from the first movie, from Infinity War, completely alone. Hulk has been established as kind of a separate entity inside of his brain. It's like, it's the Jekyll to his Hyde,
Yeah,
vice versa, whatever.
like two distinct personalities in one person.
Yep. And Hulk is clearly saying, no, I'm not coming out, because he got his ass handed to him by Thanos and Infinity War. Again, because of the weight of that movie and the weight of that character. This movie, it's not there. Like, we immediately just cut off Thanos' balls at the beginning of the movie, so you already don't really think of Thanos as an intimidating force anymore.
Right.
So at the end of the movie, when they're having their big bad fight, you're like, this seems kind of OP. Like, he was fucking useless a second ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. So tonal inconsistencies, and this, as funny as it was at the beginning, it just went on way too long, and again, just didn't leave these threads tied up in any way, shape, or form. We just, hey, I got rid of Hulk, over this 5 years, and there's no reason that he, we don't get any explanation for why he wasn't coming out during Infinity War when he was about to die.
Yeah.
So
this is the thing that kills me about that entire fucking proceeding with I'm going to call him Mr. Fix-It, because that is who he is at this point.
Yeah.
Mr. Fix-It is the kind of character that you don't just explain away why he's like that.
Yeah.
This is definitely something that you should have shown and not just straight up told us in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
This character, while executed on screen amazingly, I was like, I'm gonna say it, they made me believe big ass Mark Ruffalo. Like, I believed that he was there. Is like he looked real. He seemed,
when he shined, he really shined. But again, it was all a joke. He was one big walking, talking joke, and there was never any.
That's the unfortunate thing to this, is that while
there was never any intensity to him, there's never any emotional depth. It was just all a joke. Even at the end, where he hears about Black Widow and he throws the bench, even that is like, okay, and then he turns into a comedy figure again.
It's like there is a scene where he actively makes a joke out of his former intensity.
Yeah, back when they go to New York, I'm assuming that's the scene you're talking about.
Yep.
And he walks around going, "Oh, smash, smash! It's so embarrassing," that sort of thing.
Yeah. The fucking Mr. Fix-It. It's like this is the big asshole who's embarrassed that he's a big asshole. What the fuck, guys?
Yeah, it went on too long, and that's how I feel about the Thor thing, where they go to get Thor and tell him about the plan, and he's just this fat, drunken slob, and he's literally dressed like Lebowski. He literally has the sweater and the sweatpants and all that stuff through the entire movie.
There is a scene.
It's just, it was a funny thing to introduce initially, but it went on way too long. They shouldn't have done it the entire fucking movie.
Yeah,
I get it. It's fun and silly and enjoyable for when you first see him and he's first coming back. But after that, he clearly has a goal. He clearly has a light at the end of the tunnel. There's no reason for him to not shape up and figure out what the hell he's doing. But he still just acts like an asshole and a slob and just ignores everything for the entirety of the 2 hours he's in the movie.
He is... That's the thing. The more I think about it, it occurs to me that Tony and Natasha were not the only characters that died. It felt like all of them died. The Hulk isn't the Hulk anymore. Thor isn't Thor anymore.
Hawkeye's retired. Outside of the show, which is probably going to find silly reasons to bring him back.
Right. It's like Hawkeye isn't Hawkeye anymore.
It's back to being family man.
Yeah. It's like
a murderous family man, but a family man.
Yeah. It's like all of these characters that they had built up and made like a historical moment out of back in like 2012.
Yeah.
They're dead or they're jokes
Yep, it's true, and it kind of sucks. I deaths are part of the equation. I get it. Endings are part of the equation. I get it. But the way they did Hulk and Thor,
It seems
it
disrespectful.
seems awful.
Yeah.
They just went full in on the Ragnaroking of Thor. They went just everything is a forced joke.
I think
Same with Hulk.
I think this was worse than Ragnarok.
Hulk's whole character is that he has to fight that dynamic with, am I this human being or am I this monster? Am I somewhere in between? How do I, adjust my life according to this and that? That's what gives him his conflict. And when you take away that conflict, he's suddenly just kind of a silly throwaway character. You could put him and the fucking rock guy, from Thor Ragnarok and interchange them, and it's the same fucking character. One can do generic science shit, but hey, clearly we don't care about science. We just say what we want and do what we want. And Tony Stark did all the heavy lifting for it anyway, so what's the point?
Right. Add that to the list of heavy lifting that Tony Stark did throughout this movie.
Yep. So we get the team back together. At the beginning when Tony Stark returns, I think, Robert Downey Jr. has the best of his performances in this movie. Probably any of the Marvel movies, where he's just rail thin and he's just stressed out and he's kind of blaming everybody for what happened, especially, Steve Rogers, and he's not about it.
God, it was really weird looking at skinny Tony try to talk some shit to Steve Rogers, and it's I immediately imagine what if Steve went back to skinny Steve from the first Avengers. Oh God.
Yeah. So I thought that was actually well executed. I think it was a little illogical in how they did it, and again, the MacGuffin of fucking Captain Marvel being the one to bring him back. And Captain Marvel standing there again, being fucking just paint drying on the wall while the scene's going on and just contributing nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Her movie contributed nothing, and her character in this movie contributed nothing. Captain Marvel was wasted. They should have saved her for after Infinity War because, again, she did nothing.
Actually, I'll go as far as to say that her presence in the universe pre-Endgame actually ruins this movie for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of logical, just that doesn't make sense. So I think you said it before we even started recording about, you were out in space this entire time and you didn't run into Thanos once.
Okay, yeah.
Ronan, we just let him do what he wanted, even though you're defending all of these thousands of planets.
Here is the big question. How is it that you managed to be basically former Kree Special Forces working for someone who works directly under Ronan the Accuser, and somehow, some way, you haven't caught a whiff, not even a little scent, of that person's connection to Thanos? And not only that, when you finally, basically engage in an open act of war against, the entire Kree civilization,
yeah,
not only have they not somehow found a way to kill you, but you still haven't gotten to the bottom of who it is that is giving Ronan his power in the Kree Empire.
Yep.
It's how? How?
For the introductory individual movies, Marvel has since Iron Man has had an awesome track record. They have not screwed up a single introductory movie until Captain Marvel. And the problem with these linked universes is when you screw up an introduction, it kind of resonates throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
You can't wash that stink off. Once that stink is there, it's established and it's not going away. You can screw up the sequels, but as long as the foundation for that character is still there, as long as that original foundation is still intact, you can get away with it a little bit.
Right.
Hence, Thor sequels and Iron Man sequels,
Right. I mean, this
I
isn't
think
like
this is one of the
Man
rare...
of Steel fucking up an entire cinematic universe.
Yeah, you have to have a fucking rock solid introduction. Iron Man was a rock solid introduction, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Technically, Hulk is the introduction, but we just pretend that doesn't exist because we switched actors and pretending it doesn't exist, even though some of the support characters still exist in this universe.
Yeah,
including the secretary.
Yeah, speaking of memes, one of my favorite Avenge the Fallen posters is a poster of Edward Norton.
Yeah, I did see that. It was fucking awesome. But you know,
the other one is Terrence Howard.
Captain Marvel sucks. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
I gave the movie a meh rating. I think I gave it like a 6 because it's fine. It's a thing.
I'm sticking by my 2.
This movie makes me hate her and that movie a lot. If this movie didn't exist, that movie would be a 6 for me. With this movie existing and giving me what that movie was supposedly building up to, it's like a 4 now. Because there was no payoff. The whole point of that movie was to introduce her for this movie, and she didn't do anything. She didn't need to be in the movie at all. There was no payoff. So what was the fucking point of introducing Brie Larson and Captain Marvel only to not fucking use her for anything good?
I swear to you,
we had no character moments.
You will bring
nothing.
that score down to a 2 before the end.
Well, I feel like it's a 4 now with the full context of the Marvel universe, but we'll see. We'll see. By itself, I give it a 6. With this movie, it's a 4. So we go forward. They do a bunch of time jumping shenanigans with the mission to get the Infinity Stones, and of course, they make a bunch of famous movie, references talking about time travel and all this and that.
When we're not calling Thor Lebowski, we're straight up referencing things like all of the time travel movies that have ever been made.
Yeah. And again, this is another point of the movie that just has really wide, emotional swings that don't land anywhere. They're just really inconsistent. They go to a bunch of famous moments in Marvel Cinematic history. They go to the fight in New York, where they're trying to get several stones at once, and then they run into a problem because Hulk kind of ruins their plans, and then Loki escapes, which is like, oh, hey, we're setting up for the TV show.
That's gonna be.
There's a lot of
Disney
TV
Plus.
shows set up in this movie.
There's a lot of TV shows set up in this movie.
I think is another problem with this movie.
Yeah.
In addition to being way too much fan service and way too much just unnecessary comedy, it's like just shamelessly plugging potential TV shows.
Like, guys, come on.
So they go through all these shenanigans, and eventually they go to a moment that is less comical and more serious, where Tony and Captain America go to the past version of S.H.I.E.L.D. To get the Tesseract. And they run into Howard Stark, which is, for me, a really great moment. I really enjoyed it. I thought there's a little logical stupidity there where he's literally seeing him fumbling with top secret shit, and he just doesn't think to question it at all, that this weird guy is panicking and fumbling right next to these fucking mega weapons of superhuman death.
Okay, first of all, it was the 70s. I'm sure he was blazed out of his fucking mind.
I don't know. I thought it was weird. It felt weird.
I mean, it was definitely weird. Like, that wasn't the only weird thing that happened in the 70s in that movie.
Yeah.
Although,
was that the 70s?
Yeah, it was
Betty
like
Page there.
Yeah, that was 19.
Betty Page.
Yeah.
Sorry. What's her name?
Peggy Carter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm mixing up my bombshell girls.
Yeah, yeah. Peggy Carter is definitely a bombshell. Whew.
Yeah. And then we get Captain America. God, I gotta get Captain Marvel out of my brain.
It hurts so much.
Captain America sees his old love fling through the window, and I don't know how she doesn't notice him, because he's fucking right there with his fucking pasty white face through the open blinds. It's painfully obvious he's there, but we don't notice him.
It occurs to me that she has to age like fine wine because, well, it's 1970 at that point.
Yeah,
And
which is
the
why
last
I thought
time
it was earlier.
Yeah, the last time that we saw her, like, in a movie, since she had her own show for, like, a hot minute, was, like, that took place in the 40s.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a 30-year gap.
Yeah.
How old was she in the military?
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a canonical problem, for sure. But there are great moments, like emotional moments, in that whole scene arc. Again, kind of ruined by illogical things happening, timeline issues, unnecessary comedy with Robert Downey Jr. Fumbling with the papers and all this stuff, you know.
And,
I mean, it is cool to see him flustered because it is his dad, and you know he's in a context that he never probably imagined he would ever be in. He never imagined he would see his living father again, and have a chance to actually kind of express his feelings, even though it's kind of passive, you know, through the conversation. So that had some really nice heartwarming moments, but again, it's just totally inconsistent from the overarching scene, you know, with all the stuff.
Yeah, it's like right in the middle of that happening, there's like a goofy moment of, oh, hey, you know how we did that kind of funny thing earlier with Captain America where he kind of acts like a spy a little bit.
Yeah, the Hail Hydra redemption. The redemption of the most, you know, fucking
the most
inflammatory comic book panel in the past, 2-3 years.
It's like, ooh.
That was a brilliant move. That was a moment of comedy where I was like, that dug deep. And that was fan service. There was premium level.
There was so many fucking layers to that one fucking phrase.
It was
like
so good.
Oh no, he didn't.
And even the scene leading up to it, where they're replicating the scene from
Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and they have the whole elevator set up, the tension. It's
like, oh my god, is it gonna happen?
Beat for beat the same, and then he leans in and says, "Hail Hydra." That's when I'm fucking losing my mind.
Like, oh my god,
comic fan inception, just layer on layer on layer on layer.
Oh god,
of brilliance.
Oh,
I don't know who wrote that scene or came up with that idea, but they fucking nailed it.
Yeah, they did.
They
like that
nailed it.
That movie, that scene in that movie was definitely a plus.
I mean, remember when Chris Evans was having like a little Twitter storm of his own when that panel happened about how he hated it? And
yeah, it was like,
it must have been so satisfying for him as a fan and as the person that's portrayed this character for a decade.
Yeah,
to get to do that.
It's like, oh, this is how you get Captain America to say that shit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, time travel, he has to play secretive. There's only one way he's getting out of this elevator.
So that was a moment that was like, oh, that's fucking brilliant. That's fucking brilliant.
That, like, flashes of genius in this movie.
Yeah.
They're here and there.
That's why it's disappointing.
Right.
Because all the potential is there, but it's just wasted.
Oh. But the Howard Stark or Howard Potts and Howard Stark moment it's undercut by Captain America kind of doing something funny because guess who's also here in this time? Hank Pym.
Ugh.
Who we de-aged the shit out of.
Hey, it worked.
Yeah, it's like Michael Douglas has never looked better. Not even when he was that age.
Nope, sure didn't.
And I got to tell you, I was really feeling that Howard to Howard moment. Only thing it was missing for me was Howard the Duck, but
who does make a cameo?
He does make a cameo
at the end of this movie.
You gotta,
it's hard to see, but
you gotta look real fucking close. But he's canon. He's definitely canon. That being said,
Hulu series incoming. Thanks, Kevin Smith. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't know whether to tell him to smoke more or less for that one. Either way, just don't die in the midst of this production.
Yeah, please don't.
My God.
Please don't. No more heart attacks, please.
Yes, stay healthy. But yeah, they undercut the emotional weight of that scene with Captain America getting to be funny. Yeah. Like right after making fun of himself. Like a couple scenes before that.
I do like how this new form of Captain America is just so jaded now. He doesn't care about making fun of himself anymore. He doesn't take himself too seriously anymore, and he's actually cursing. Like throughout the entire movie, he's cursing.
Oh yeah,
is a little subtle thing that I think works excellent if you read into it a little bit. Like he's just given up on being the pure one.
Not just that. This is a complete. This is a complete 180
from Avengers 1.
From Avengers Age of Ultron.
Also true. Yeah. Although I hate that movie. So
this is like the language guy.
Yeah.
Is like the language guy has turned into like what's that other branch of the military? The Navy? He turned into a sailor mouth? Yeah. Sure, why not?
I love how he's exasperated by his own character when he's fighting with himself on the bridge.
He's like, I could do this all day. I know.
It's so good.
I get it.
It's so good.
That was a good moment.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. He finally realizes how exhausting he is for everybody else.
It's like, and mind you, that's why I love Captain America. Captain America, he's not the character that you change. He's the character that you use to change everyone around him. Like, he's the kind of person that by having him around long enough, he turns Tony into someone who does make the sacrifice play.
Yeah. So again, we go through these scenes. Again, tonal inconsistencies and problems with the Thor portion, because again, we go to the Thor the Dark World scene, and his mother catches him because his mother's like, "Hey, I'm a fucking witch. You should know I'm gonna catch you, dumbass."
It's like, of course I know what you're doing
your
here.
Beard from like 3 rooms away. You fucking piece of shit.
It doesn't take magic to sneak up on a drunk.
Yeah, a drunk who hasn't bathed in a long time.
And was actively, audibly having a panic attack talking to a raccoon in the middle of a hall.
Yeah.
Guys.
So it's just too...
Guys, come on.
Just too much for... Because they tried to have a serious moment where he's crying and having the talk with his mother who's gone, and he knows this is probably the last opportunity he'll ever have, and it's a gift that he never expected to receive. But it didn't land because there was no emotional substance to the scene, because they were making jokes out of everything.
This is the problem with Thor now. The reason why they've gone this route with Thor is because Thor Ragnarok made them a lot of money, which signaled to Marvel that comedy is the route that you go with this character, which is a fucking shame, because
there's nothing wrong with making lighthearted comedy movies. Ant-Man is more or less a comedy movie,
as it should be.
And
I still would have went for #Plan Thanos. I'm just saying, it would have worked.
But yeah, it's still funny.
It's still funny.
It's a joke from like 2 months ago, and I'm still laughing about it. But
see, that's comedy.
Even
that's comedy.
With Thor
right
Ragnarok, I didn't begrudge them for making a comedy film. What I begrudged them for was making an incoherent movie that was not a Thor movie and had no reason to be a Thor movie, and where the comedy was kind of inappropriate to everything that was happening.
Right.
If you're in an emotionally impactful scene, like seeing your mother for the first time since you watched her get brutally murdered, and you haven't had the chance to air any of your feelings to her or express how much you cared about her and how much you regret this and that's an emotionally heavy scene that should have gotten an emotionally heavy context, but it didn't, because it was just one big silly Lebowski joke, and it didn't work. And it
was like his mother talking to his dirty, like, lazy ass son.
Yeah, she was talking to Santa Claus, and it's fucking stupid.
Right. And meanwhile, the person actually getting work done while they're on Asgard in 13?
Yeah, and we're literally getting cuts of the raccoon scenes, which are 100% comedy, while they're having this conversation that's supposed to be emotionally heavy.
Right.
bad editing.
It's like off screen. Rocket Raccoon is trying to jam something in Natalie Portman's butt cheek.
Hi. Furry play.
I'm just saying, if I was a raccoon that sounded like Bradley Cooper.
But yeah, it just didn't have any weight to it, and that's that. Again, it's just like the previous scenes that we talked about already. The scene with Hulk and the Sorcerer Supreme. It didn't work because it was a big joke for half of it, even though there was a lot of intensity in what they were talking about. They're talking about potentially destroying the entire universe and introducing all these dark forces. Plot for Doctor Strange 2. Hint, hint.
Hint, hint.
By removing these Infinity Stones and the risks involved and, addressing Adam Strange. Is it Adam?
You mean Adam Warlock?
No.
No.
What's Strange's first name?
Steven.
Steven, thank you. I don't know why I mixed those up, but I did. Stephen Strange, she clearly knows who he is and knows what he's going to be, which is very cool. But again, the gravity of the situation is completely lost because we're having a comedy scene with Hulk getting punched out of, or Mark Ruffalo getting punched out of Hulk. And
you remember that thing that happened in Doctor Strange, kids? That thing where the Ancient One kind of like soul punched Stephen Strange out of his body. What happens when we do that to the Hulk? I'm not gonna lie, I honestly kind of expected like a Hulk-shaped soul just coming straight out. I didn't expect just Mark Ruffalo, because at this point I thought that we're just committing to he's just this big science nerd top to bottom.
Yeah, it just didn't have the levity it needed. Really, the only portion of the sequence that had any levity is the portion with Hawkeye and Scarlett Johansson on one end, and then Nebula, whatever. My brain's not working tonight. The scene with Nebula and
Gamora, or
no, Gamora came later. Who went with her?
War Machine. Rhodey.
Oh yeah, the other sidekick we like to forget. So Rhodey and Nebula,
the only sidekick who survived,
who ambushed Star-Lord, which again had comedy moments because we watched the whole intro sequence to Guardians of the Galaxy and then watched him get his face knocked out.
Right. Yeah. We got to see it from the outside perspective of like, what would it look like if you were like actually there watching this guy dance like an idiot?
Yeah. And for that context, it works because that's what Guardians of the Galaxy is and should be.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy is not a serious group, which is why they don't really work quite as well with more serious themed characters. But it was interesting.
Yeah.
They get the stone, and then they kind of introduce the plot device that, hey, Nebula's brain is still attached to the network, and so her future brain is still connected to past brain, and so we project what's going on, and then Thanos gets wind of what's happening and decides he's going to act on it. So, plot device,
hey, we can see...
Hey, Thanos isn't gone.
Timestamps of memories?
Here's the reason for our final battle, because we had no reason otherwise. This movie literally could have ended without any fighting whatsoever.
Right, but no, in order for these characters to remain #relatable, we have to watch them fuck up.
Yeah, so that happens. It's just a cheap plot device. It works, I guess, but that's just what it is. It's a plot device.
Yeah. There's like half a second of a moment between War Machine and Nebula with the whole like... instead of Peter Quill getting the stone, she ends up getting it and like sears away anything that was remotely organic on her like metal skeleton hand.
Yeah.
And they have a little, oh yeah, we're both kind of broken and
Terminator
like, have like machine parts and
yeah. I think Nebula actually came off pretty cool in this movie.
This is the movie where Nebula shines a whole lot more than she ever did.
Yeah, which is a good thing. You know, it's always cool to see lesser characters kind of get their time in the sun a little bit in a good way if they
Yeah.
can portray them properly.
Yeah,
I thought she
yeah.
had probably some of the most depth in the entire movie, and I particularly wish they would have done more with the introduction where she's on the ship with Robert
Oh,
Downey
yeah.
Jr. and
that scene, like that
they're-
entire
they're
proceeding
kind of-
needed to be longer.
they're kind of intimate,
yeah.
and it seems almost like there's like a low key kind of romance between the two, even though it's weird and you don't expect it, but it's just the nature of being trapped in a dire situation with another person of if
right.
you're straight, the opposite sex,
Yeah, it's
and having that kind of unintentional, almost romantic entanglement.
yeah,
And
it's
you see.
closeness born out of isolation.
Yeah, and you see Iron Man kind of humanize Nebula a little bit, and when they're playing the little football game, and then when they're feeding each other, and just interacting like normal people, doing these projects together, trying to repair the ship together, working as a team. When he's tired and he passes out, she takes care of him, and again, in almost like a sentimental kind of loving way.
Yeah,
I kind of wish they would have done more with that, honestly.
That could have been a really impactful scene of basically watching Nebula, one, be humanized by Tony, but also slowly watch this completely organic being slowly
Just
die.
slowly die, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, again, they just needed that scene to have more levity, to give it more air to breathe. And
yeah, it needed more time.
They ruined the entire moment when Captain Marvel arrives.
Add it to the list of moments that she ruins.
Because it's so silly. It's just nonsensical. It's silly. You're like seeing how their relationship's developing while they're surviving together. And it's actually really interesting and really kind of intoxicating. I'm like, wow, that's kind of a really subtle, clever way to do this. And I really like how they're handling it. And then Bright Lights Captain Marvel's here. And she's going to fly you home. Like, it's so stupid. It's such a waste. She sucks. God damn. I didn't hate her before. I hate her.
That movie.
This movie makes me hate her.
The Captain Marvel will be a 2 out of 10 before the end.
But I thought that was a brilliant scene and could have been even better and added so much depth to these two characters and their dynamic.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I keep calling her Scarlett Johansson. How Black Widow has kind of her low-key kind of almost romantic relationships with both Hawkeye and Hulk, even though the Hulk one was kind of forced in Age of Ultron, but it developed into something that's a little more credible later in time.
Yeah.
Even though they don't act on it. You don't have to act on it for it to be genuine and feel real. It's just like real life. You develop relationships with people and you don't always act on them in one way or another, but it's there and you both know it's there, and it's a human thing. And that's what I thought was cool, that we were humanizing Nebula to that point.
Yeah.
And I thought it was brilliant, and I wish they would have capitalized on that instead of shoving Captain Marvel in there as the MacGuffin. But of course, she fucking ruins everything. I thought it would have been cool if they had figured out a solution together and together figured out a way to get back to Earth.
It would have made sense for...
Because that would have developed their relationship and their character so much more. And it would have been awesome to see her, Nebula, at Tony's funeral, just kind of in the background, kind of mourning in her own way, separate from Pepper Potts and all the people that were close to him on Earth. That would have been a really cool moment to just have her kind of there, and maybe even put in that little seed for maybe she goes to try to find a way to get Tony back,
Yeah.
And she's not a person that restrains herself very much. So
no, not at all.
She doesn't mind putting the entire universe on the line to do something she wants to do. So I think that could have been brilliant.
That was a missed opportunity.
Again, maybe I'm just giving myself too many expectations, and I'm putting my own little thing in there that probably doesn't need to be there. But I think it could have been so excellent. And I wouldn't have gotten the idea if they hadn't done that scene. And
right.
When you see that scene, you're like, oh, that's brilliant. Why didn't they act on it? How did they not see this dynamic? Because it works so well. But yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. Going back in time, but that scene was awesome. And I really wish it would have been capitalized a little bit more, and that thread had been kind of worked on instead of just completely separating them for the rest of the movie and having her be a comedic end with Rhodey until Rhodey is again irrelevant, and then we make her a plot device for Gamora to reunite with Star-Lord and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Missed opportunities.
yeah. So we get through all these scenes. Again, the Hawkeye Scarlet moment is kind of set on a bad path because they're joking all the way up the mountain. Why did we get the one with the mountain? Blah 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 blah. And then they meet the red-faced dude. Okay, whatever, weird guy. Blah blah blah. And they're making their jokes about it. And then they're making jokes about deciding who's going to die. And then it's just too much. It took all the emotional impact of that scene out. Now, again, the scene was ruined for me, so I knew who was going to die and what was going to happen. But that being said, it was just...
The way that scene played out.
You don't joke about killing yourselves for each other.
Right.
It's just like Budapest. It's just... Tonally, it's awful. It's just a poorly executed scene. I don't know if it was written that way, but if it was, it's very disappointing because so much of the writing in this movie is great, but they just execute so poorly, and it bums me out because it's just a waste. We're never going to get this opportunity again. This is it.
This is it.
This is it. This was the opportunity to do all of this stuff, and if you don't bring your A game, it's really disappointing. Because now it's just another throwaway Disney forced comedy movie that, here it was.
Add it to the list.
And again, the ideas in this movie are brilliant. There's
There's lots of ideas.
great ideas, and they just...
not all of them are executed well.
Yeah. So we push through here. Black Widow sacrifices herself. Hawkeye gets a stone. He wakes up in the little mirror lake. I don't really get how he gets home. Do we ever see how he gets out of that world?
I'm assuming since they have the things on their hands that they just use
They
those
just use that in the little mirror world? Okay.
Yeah. That's my assumption.
Again, I'm kind of wondering why we didn't get more elaboration on what this is and how it connects to the previous scene with Thanos and that little world and whatever.
Yeah.
I know it's a comic thing, but I don't care about Marvel as much as some people. So I'm not that deep into the Marvel lore.
Yeah.
I know quite a bit, but that's even for me, that's like a lot.
I mean, this whole thing's a ride. It's like this is a... This is an excellent adventure and a bogus journey and going to hell and coming back from the dead and like all wrapped into like 30 minutes to an hour?
Yep. And so everybody gets back. They kind of mourn that they lost Natasha. And did they lose anybody else on the way back?
Nebula gets switched out.
Yeah, they don't know that Nebula switched out. It's the new Nebula.
Yeah,
because they capture the real Nebula. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
So they act on their new possessions, trying to craft an Iron Man hand for Hulk to wear, and so he can snap the fingers. Again, they debate about who should wear it because of moral reasons, about who, you might be corrupted, who can actually survive the snap. Thor can obviously survive the snap if he can survive a fucking star blasting radiation through him.
Yeah.
And floating in space after Thanos blows up your ship. Until the Guardians hit you with their ship and you're still alive. So he could probably survive.
that is what Captain Marvel should have done. Captain Marvel should have come back, snapped her fingers twice, just like...
and then left again.
Oh no, and then died. Oh no, wait, I amend that. I'm glad she's still alive. Rogue has to get her powers from somebody.
Yeah, then she can die.
Yes. Or
suck all of that life force out.
Yeah. Put it in someone else. Please?
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem.
It's a pretty big problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. So this introduces what for me is a big plot hole. Thanos then acts on attacking them and trying to get the glove with the stones. And his new mission, now seeing what they've done and reversing his work, is to just eliminate everything, which, Mad Titan, get it. All right. Not well reasoned, but it's a reason. Again,
you're all ungrateful for me, making sure you'd survive
I'm
by
kind of
killing
sad
half
because
of
the
everyone.
first movie did such a great job to adding a ton of depth to Thanos' character and making him feel like a real, tangible, heavy character that you can kind of, even if you don't agree with him, you can kind of empathize with and kind of see his point of view.
Yeah.
This movie does the exact opposite.
Oh, yeah.
This movie just waters him down to bare bones, generic villain guy who's doing villainous things for villainous reasons.
This movie relies completely on your having probably just watched Avengers Infinity War as far as any sort of giving a shit about Thanos as a character.
I didn't give a shit.
like
and I did watch Infinity War right before.
Thanos
and they
Endgame,
did that by cutting off his head and making him into a little monk in the woods.
Yeah.
That scene alone, just all right, well, there goes that.
It's he.
I get the narrative reason, I get the logic behind it, but in practice, it just takes away any levity to the character, and then making him a generic bad guy for bad guy reasons at the end.
It's
okay, now he's back. We're back to the original Marvel problem where the villains suck. And in this case, Thanos kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But that's not the plot hole I was talking about. The plot hole is where his ship comes through, and then miraculously during the battle scene, thousands of ships come down with millions of fucking monsters and troops from nowhere. So this plot hole, after everybody comes through, they just conveniently leave the little gate open for entry for anybody who wants to come on back. And sure enough, the fucking Thanos ship boosts out. Now, Nebula is the one with the receiver, so I don't understand how they come back, because she needed to use the receiver to get back. But apparently she can do some shenanigans on the computer and totally just bring in through an entire fucking warship.
Yeah, I think at some point she actually ends up with a thing of PIM particles. And I think that's their excuse for Thanos' ship.
The entire fucking ship.
It's here.
So yeah, that happens. It bursts through the ceiling, and apparently no one notices that initially. Because they're so focused on snapping, I guess.
It's
it takes a lot of focus, apparently.
I'm gonna. I swear to. I'm gonna.
Hot. That's how you blow your load. So the ship bursts through the ceiling, and you very clearly only see one ship.
Yeah.
One.
Only one.
That one ship fucking destroys the entire thing as it's flying through the roof.
Right.
Again, nobody notices this until they start bombarding the building. But yeah. And for some reason, somehow, an entire fucking fleet appears at the final battle scene. Where is that coming from? Because Thanos' forces don't exist anymore.
Right.
We kind of killed Thanos and decimated all of his generals and his army. So,
Well, the beginning of this movie does begin suspiciously with none of his forces around him. We've already
we kind of
eliminated
them
the
all
generals.
On Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
unless they're somehow saying that they somehow portaled in
with
Thanos.
There was a lot of Rian Johnson in this logic. During the battle scene, we get the whole Last Jedi, overly terrible female forced-in character who just goes through the entire ship for no apparent reason. And if you could do that, why didn't you do that 20 years ago when Thanos was, conquering planets with Ronan the Accuser and all that? Why didn't you do that then, before he had, access to an Infinity Gauntlet and was attacking your home planet? She ruins this movie so much. Brie Larson and Captain Marvel both just suck in this movie. The acting sucks. The lines suck.
Yeah,
the writing for her sucks.
What they did with
her
this
reasoning
character,
for being in this movie sucks.
yeah,
It just all sucks.
yeah,
And it's very disappointing. I thought they were going to pay this off a lot better. They did not.
She doesn't just like nearly ruin this movie. She still ruins Nick Fury as a character.
She does. It's a problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a problem. But yeah, if we put our brains aside for a moment and just say, sure, why not? Then fine. So we go on with the movie. Hulk has worn the glove. He snapped his fingers and he has brought everybody back. Again, we address the problems. You know, you're going to have 4 billion people on the planet just suddenly appear when we've been living without them or having to feed or clothe or water or provide utilities for them for 5 years. I'm pretty sure that infrastructure is shot.
Oh, yeah.
They're fucked. And a lot of people probably died on entry.
Oh, yeah.
How many were on airplanes when they died?
Oh.
Remember that end credits scene where we see the helicopter just before Nick Fury disappears and the helicopter's spinning out of control? Yeah, that guy came back where he probably was, and he probably fell to his death.
There's a lot of questions that aren't answered about, like, the ramifications of the re-snapping.
That's just Earth.
Yeah.
Think about the fuckers in space.
Oh.
They're completely fucked.
There's untold countless lives
Gone.
gone.
Yep.
Just from being brought back into existence.
Permanently.
Ooh.
It's not the stones this time.
God, what
Yep,
happens if you're brought back in a place that's in like a part of space-time that's already being occupied by someone else?
Yeah, and why does your cell phone still work? Are we on the same networks 5 years from now? Are we using the same phone numbers?
Yeah.
Nobody claimed your phone number in 5 years?
No one.
Nobody?
Not even...
Nobody had to change their phone number to your number at any point in time in 5 years. Your number was unlocked.
No one nefariously just took your phone number and tried to scam.
Who paid your phone bill for 5 years so that you could make that phone call?
Yeah.
Mrs. Hawkeye.
About that.
I'm pretty sure Ronan the fucking asshole was going around murdering people so he could pay your phone bill for 5 years.
More like murdering so he didn't have to pay it.
Fuck off. Again, just things you got to put your brain away for in this movie because, again, Infinity War was very coherent, very well put together, had some small potential plot holes, like, you know, why didn't Doctor Strange just make a little circle around Thanos' arm and take the arm? That seems like a very logical conclusion when you can clearly tear the arm off this other giant monster guy. But, you know, put the brain away for a little bit.
Yep.
This movie kind of makes you do it a little more than I wanted to at the end.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's to set up for the big epic moments to make you forget more than anything.
It's like, oh, it's eye candy time.
So we get our Spider-Man Homecoming moment where the building comes down on everybody and they're trying to escape. We got Hawkeye getting to do something for once, you know, other than be Ronan for fan service reasons. And he's running around through the bottom, running away from these alien things that we've seen since the first Avengers movie. Chasing him, trying to grab the little gauntlet for Thanos and blowing up arrows. We get Ant-Man freeing everybody from the rubble. Rocket Raccoon's pinned. Hulk's kind of unconscious. He's not really Hulk. He's just Mark Ruffalo.
Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah, everybody's kind of down and out except for, you know, the big three kind of male characters of the Avengers between Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, who are all facing off with generic evil guy Thanos as opposed to the Thanos with a ton of depth and character. We're just having our, you know,
but this one looks cooler. He kept his armor on this time.
We're using generic evil Josh Brolin purple guy instead of wonderfully deep and intricate cerebral Thanos from the first movie. So they have their big fight. We still got Fat Thor, which is fucking annoying the fuck out of me. Although we do get the nice little fan service moment with Captain America, where we do confirm Captain America is worthy as he wields the Mjolnir
Oh yeah,
with the full Odin.
Oh yeah, he summons lightning and everything. This
Yeah.
is like paying off that tiny little scene from Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Yeah, and it is a cool sequence seeing him fight with both the shield and the hammer, where
Oh.
he's bouncing the hammer and the shield off of each other.
Oh, it was fucking brilliant.
That was really fun to watch. I did enjoy
Yeah.
that. Iron Man just kind of gets his ass kicked for most of this, which is surprising because he was the one beating the shit out of Thanos in the last movie.
Right.
Like, he was literally dropping entire ships on top of him and like going pretty toe to toe with him for the most part until that end.
We had to give Cap something.
Well, Cap got pretty much everything in this scene. And pretty much the entire end was just about Cap, even though it probably should have been about Iron Man, but and then Thor is doing his thing with Stormbreaker, just the generic, Ragnarok, and stuff. But
only
far
without
less,
the Led Zeppelin.
but far less effectively because, he's fat and old and shitty, and it sucks, and I hate it.
Can we play
Again.
like a bluesy version of Immigrant Song to like go with his fatness?
Yeah. But then we get the nice kind of reunion scene at the end of the battle where all of these portals from all of the sorcerers start opening up, and everybody that's been revived and the people that aren't involved in the current battle have all come to the battlefield to help fight off Thanos' forces. And there is a kind of cool shot where Captain America is kind of the last guy standing. He's got Mjolnir in one hand, and he's got his broken shield in the other, and he kind of tightens down the straps with his bloodied arm. And he faces off with the entire army like, fuck, here we go.
It's like
a lot of people are making a big deal about this scene because they're like, oh, we knew Captain America was going to die and this and that. I was like, I wasn't buying it. I'm like, come on.
It was an epic scene just because of the imagery. It looked like...
Yeah. It was a great image. It was a
Yeah.
great portrait. And if they hadn't been ruining the entire movie with terrible jokes, I probably would have bought into it a lot more.
Oh, yeah. It was like, imagine if it was in Lord of the Rings in that last battle. It looked like it was just Aragorn going
Yeah.
against like all of the armies of Mordor. It was like,
Which-
that is what this looked like.
Which is an awesome scene, and it should have had more weight to it.
It
just
should
like
have.
It's basically this entire movie. Should have had more weight to it.
Yeah.
And if it had been a separate movie, who knows? Maybe it would have,
Maybe.
But, He faces off with all of Thanos' armies and all the allies, and return people come in to help. We see Spider-Man return, which is great, and we have a great scene where Tony just flat out hugs the guy. And for once, it's not a thing, that
Yeah.
Tom Holland is mistaking for a real interaction. He's literally genuinely thrilled that he's alive and that he didn't.
God, that's paying off a fucking Spider-Man Homecoming scene.
Yeah. And it's
my
excellent.
God.
I wish there was just more to it.
Yes.
Because that should have been like the moment for me where I was like dying.
It
but they
should have had more weight.
Yeah, they didn't let it breathe, and Tony and Robert Downey Jr. wasn't really selling it very well because he had 10 seconds to do it. It's like hug and then all right, let's go.
Is it
I was
right?
like, okay, I guess we're fine with that. And so we have the whole scenes where everybody's running around with the gauntlet, trying to keep it away from Thanos, and eventually, we get to the point where Thanos has kind of overcome everybody in the immediate three, and between Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man, and he's now grasping the gauntlet and trying to put it on. And Doctor Strange kind of alludes, hey, there's only one route, and he looks at Tony, and Tony kind of understands, and he goes for the gauntlets after seeing Thanos actually remove one of the stones to punch Captain Marvel with the Power Stone and then putting it back on.
Just to layer
He
the
could have
fuck
done that
out.
to any character. It didn't
Literally.
You could have done it to Hulk. Hulk didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Hulk was just laying around this entire fucking time.
His arm was still fucking burnt.
I'm pretty sure Angry Hulk would have still fought even with a fucked up arm. Just saying.
That snap should have brought back Angry Hulk.
We didn't get a single good fight scene from Hulk. In the last Avengers movie with all of the main group, Hulk did not fight. It's fucking stupid. The one person who should be fighting more than anybody.
The guy who is fighting is like basically his character?
I don't know. Just come on, guys. So many good ideas, but you're missing the point of everything.
It's fine. It just I got to watch someone lay Captain Marvel out. They get a point for that.
So Tony goes up to him, pretending like he's going to attack him. Thanos buys in, and Tony, in the meantime, uses his little nanomachines for his suit to steal the stones and attach them to his current arm, which I don't get why you had to make a big special Iron Man arm to hold the Infinity Stones if you could have just used your little nanomachines to attach them to your regular arm. Couldn't you have just done that originally and then gave it to whoever can hold it? Like, hey, Thor, hold this for a second. All right. Shh. Done. Instead, we had to spend hours trying to build this special little glove.
Right.
And again, it makes the whole scene from Infinity War with the dwarf kind of nonsensical now, because Tony just did it with regular metal and just an arm, and then he did it with his nanotech, which was not specifically built for this. The fucking dwarf had to build this special dwarven bullshit metal using this dead star to power everything.
And how dare you shit on a Peter Dinklage scene? How dare you?
See, now that was a joke within a joke that was excellent. You had a giant Norwegian kind of Norse mythology dwarf.
Yeah.
Played by a literal dwarf, little person, however you want to frame it. That is excellent joke material.
That was amazing.
And it was all done without winking at the audience. It was just something you observed. It was like, holy shit, that's funny.
Oh my God.
That's clever.
They did not just, oh my God, they're doing it.
That's how you do clever humor.
Yeah, this you subverted my expectations. Good job.
But yeah, they completely shit on that entire scene altogether, because literally none of that mattered, because they literally could have hooked it up to any piece of metal and it would work.
Apparently.
Because it fucking worked for Tony. I did not like the I'm Iron Man thing. I just thought, okay, why would you say that though?
There's only one reason he would say that.
Fan service.
Not just fan service. This was basically an artistic way to complete Tony's arc.
But it didn't make fucking sense. It has to make sense to be impactful. It did make sense. Why would you say that before snapping your fingers to kill a bunch of people and die? Wouldn't you say goodbye or I love you, Pepper, or keep going, Peter? No, I'm Iron Man. And it wasn't even said forcefully. It was just like, I'm Iron Man.
Well, he said it in retort to the I am inevitable, since, we have a Thanos now who already knows that what should be happening is his victory, and because he won already, he's kind of...
You know what that's the dialogue equivalent to?
What?
I love Lamp. That's what that was to me. That was I love Lamp. That's what that line was to me. I'm sorry.
Are you trying to say something just to say something, Brick, or do you actually love Lamp?
I love Lamp. I love Lamp. Yeah. So it's again, I'm tearing this movie to shreds. I don't mean to, but I'm disappointed because it could have been so much more, and it just wasn't. And it actively makes the previous movie less impactful because it doesn't tie up any of the threads very well. In fact, it leaves a lot of threads left to drift in the wind.
Yeah.
And kind of just rewrites it however they want, even though it's the same fucking people making this movie. And they filmed the movie back to back, so why wasn't it coherent from beginning to end between the two movies?
Right.
It was literally the same people working on it.
I have to
And they
imagine
filmed
that
it
there's.
at the same time, using the same budgets and the same crews.
I have to assume that there's a lot of shit that was just left on the cutting room floor because
Maybe, but it still doesn't explain away everything. I don't know.
not everything. I mean, there's definitely some things there where you can just tell this scene was going to be in there one way or another, and it doesn't work. I don't know where you place this scene in this movie and not have it completely undercut something that would either go before it or go after it.
Yeah. So, we get the Tony death scene. Pepper Potts, fine.
She's fine.
She says, it's okay to rest now. And I'm like, fuck you, bitch. Tell him to stay alive. What's wrong with you? You're the worst wife ever. He hasn't been suffering for like months in a bed. Like he just did it. It's been like 10 seconds and you're already telling him it's okay to die. You haven't taken him to a doctor or anything. He's a little burned and singed on the outside and you're like, it's okay to die, Tony. It's okay. Have some goop.
I'm dying from Infinity Stone use.
You know what's great for death? Bee stings.
Gwyneth Paltrow, why?
You suck. I'm sorry, Gwyneth. You suck. You're a good actress, but you suck. And your character sucks. And I hate it. And then Peter, again, I think this is another casualty of not letting him know what's going on in the scene. Because they kept everything a secret from him. So
because he can't keep his fucking mouth shut.
He can't, and it's a problem, but I would rather him potentially give away a minor spoiler than actually have the scene completely ruined and have no emotional intensity to it because Peter's not acting like his mentor is dying.
Okay, you know how
he's acting like, hey, I've seen you. Hey, I missed you. What's up? Bye. Oh, your dad? Oh. Like, what?
Oh, you know how you get him to maybe shut the fuck up?
Maybe don't put him on a press tour. Just let him do his own thing.
That's
don't
one
put him
thing.
on a press tour. Press tours are completely fucking useless. Have each of the characters do like one little interview in the States. Done. Ship it out.
Or if he's going to do a press tour, maybe have some big burly security people right next to him, just like staring him down, and like anytime he's about to say something, or the interviewer asks something, like as soon as he's about to say something,
Benedict Cumbersnooch did a good job of keeping him silent. Just pair those two up; they like each other. Just keep them on tour together. It's fine.
Yeah,
easy solution.
Yeah, it's just
don't ruin the entire scene and huge impactful moments in your movie because you don't want to divulge what's going on to the actors who are supposed to be portraying these huge emotional moments.
Just because they don't know how to shut the fuck up.
So yeah, the movie ends. Tony turns all the Thanos forces, including Thanos, into dust, which introduces another big plot hole. So who the fuck is in the past to make the past actually happen now? Because we just fucking killed Thanos in the past and all of his army. So we have nobody to act upon the Guardians of the Galaxy plot. We have nobody to act upon Avengers Infinity War plot. Because that version of Thanos is now dead. And so is his entire army and all the shenanigans that they cause plots for other movies. So now you can do your whole multiverse thing, but I thought the whole plot of going back and then putting the Infinity Stones back afterwards was to not change the past because we'll fuck up the past, and once we fuck up the past, it causes problems. And we literally brought the past to the future, killed them all. And yeah.
Ooh.
I feel like that's a major plot hole.
Add that to the list
for the entire canon.
Add that to the list.
The other
of
plot holes were more like aesthetic things that were, we're doing a movie, big dumb thing, put my brain over here. That one is a major plot hole. Maybe you can explain it away and say, Tony imagined them back in the past, not remembering what happened. But I'm pretty sure that doesn't make a lot of sense either. Especially if you couldn't bring those people back in time or anything like that. That's the whole reason you had to bring them back in the present.
You know what would be really terrible? is if they use that as the reason why Captain Marvel never really interacted with Thanos.
But it was in 2014. She's been Captain Marvel for like 20 years. So,
By that time, it would be like a little more than 10.
well, more than 20 years.
Still.
It was like 1992. So
1992.
getting close to 30 years.
Yeah, dude. Okay.
Yep.
It's 2014 when that one happened. 22 years.
That's a lot of time to
Yep.
run into Thanos and Ronan. Just saying.
Yep.
Yep.
That is a lot of time. That's still a lot of time.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
So yeah, major plot holes. Unfortunately,
The problems
As
don't
much-
go away.
I'm changing my score. It's a 6, and it's only a 6 because it gives great moments like the Hail Hydra scene and the face off battle, the dual wielding Captain America. Like that's it. That's all I got.
I'm actually lowering my score.
I enjoyed the experience. I'm giving it. All right, I'm gonna edit this in after we give our original scores. After discussing it in depth, I'm giving it a 6.
I'm giving it a 5.
Yep, we both lowered it. Because the more we talk about it, the more we expose to each other.
Oh, yeah. This
yeah,
is
it's
like
a problem.
even more, like the more I think about it, the less it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a problem. So we go into kind of the fallout of everything. The Guardians kind of leave and do their own thing, and Thor joins them. Fat, slobby Thor. So I guess we're gonna get Thor in space now with the Guardians of the Galaxy,
More like
Minus-
ass Guardians of the Galaxy.
minus Gamora because she's still dead. Although,
Oh, no.
did we actually return
Yep.
past Gamora?
Oh, no, we didn't return past Gamora. Gamora's
Another-
in this current timeline.
Another fucking plot hole.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
Oh, yeah.
if she's not in the past to die for the Soul Stone, what's the fucking point? But okay. So I guess we got current Gamora who does not love Peter Quill.
Uh-huh.
So that's going to be an interesting thing that
That we have to redo
Gunn
all
has
over
to write
again.
around.
Now, he's
'cause
also credited with writing this movie.
James Gunn?
Yeah, it's like he's one of 3 writers.
Wow, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
or actually, he's not credited as a writer. He's credited as a producer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he introduced a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's gonna have a hard time writing around that. I'm sure there'll be some fun shenanigans because of it, but it's gonna be hard kind of watching that dynamic again after we already saw it the first time.
It'll be all different. We have Thor this time.
Will she fall in love with Thor and make Peter jealous?
I mean, Thor's a fatty now.
Yeah, that's true. There's nothing to like there.
He's a fat drunk
Yeah.
idiot. This is what Peter Quill could have been had he actually kept his god powers from Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah. It's a problem. And I also think it's really shitty that Thor is the one guy that doesn't stay for Tony's funeral, even though he's a core member of the Avengers.
Yeah.
And he clearly saved Tony's life in the past when he restarted his heart. Yeah. So,
He was wearing black, though. I think I remember him wearing black. There was a moment on a cliff where it looked like he was about to reenact a scene from The Big Lebowski. I was waiting for John Goodman to just open up Donnie's ashes and just have them fly in his face.
Stupid. And we decided that Valkyrie is going to be the king of the Asgardians.
They decided. I didn't decide that.
For some reason, even though they're just now Norwegians.
They're just powered Norse
the beach.
dudes.
Now they're just regular Vikings, I guess.
I guess.
But we need a black Valkyrie to lead our Vikings. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But fine.
It's fine. It's
fine,
not like
I
the
guess.
Valkyrie
It's
I
not like
wanted.
it matters.
The Valkyrie I wanted was... She died. She didn't even say a word. The Valkyrie I wanted died in a scene from Thor fucking Ragnarok.
Yeah, apparently she didn't.
Yeah. I mean, if we're just undoing shit...
I mean, bring the whole crew back. They were fun.
But that's more people to pay, and we're not doing that.
But we'll pay this one.
I guess.
Okay.
Let them fucking do Men in Black International. I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, none of this made sense. Everything relating to Thor didn't make any sense, nor was it executed well, and I didn't like it. I know some people are like, fat funny Thor, I love it, blah blah. It's funny for like 10 minutes, and then it's just awful.
You're just trying to force him to be #relatable. That's
We don't. That's not what we need from Thor.
No, not at all.
He's a literal god from a foreign plane of existence.
Yeah, he's from the realm of Asgard,
which, according to Ragnarok, is apparently just a planet that's flat. Flat Earth, shells.
What are you talking about? According to Thor Ragnarok, Asgard is a people, not a place.
You're right. I'm sorry. Asgard is a people, not a place.
Oh, hey, I think I see Surtur.
Even though they get everything.
And I think I see Hela.
All their power and their origin comes from this plane of existence that is a location.
Shouldn't Thor just be a fucking dude?
But is now a place in space.
What the fuck does any of this mean?
I don't know.
Not Ragnarok, if Asgard is a people and not a place, then since all of his fucking people are dead in Infinity War, shouldn't he just be a dude?
Yeah. I also don't understand how half of them are left alive when they blew up the entire ship.
Yeah, where the fuck were these guys?
Did he put them on another ship?
Off screen?
And then still send them to Norway?
Guys, there's this place on Earth. I think you're going to like it. It's got lots of hills and mountains.
I kept you alive.
I watched...
So you could go to Norway and live a mundane fisherman's existence.
It's going to be really close to where both my brother and I watched Odin die.
That doesn't make sense. Thor in no way, shape, or form was there to guide them to Norway because he was with the Guardians of the Galaxy building Stormbreaker while all their dead bodies were floating through space in the shipwreckage.
Unless he somehow...
That's a huge plot hole.
Unless he somehow bullshits his way into remembering... Oh, you remember the first Thor movie where we admit to kind of being aliens that let these people worship us as gods? We did that in this one particular spot on Earth. Go back there.
Stupid. So yeah, this is another emotional issue. We have Tony Stark's funeral scene, and again, there's no emotional weight to it because the actors and actresses in the scene who were all on site filming this scene together were told that they were at a wedding. They were told they were at a wedding ceremony, and that's
they were taking a page out of Captain Marvel's acting book with like all the faces that they had.
And speaking of Captain Marvel, even in a scene where nobody was reacting at all, she still stood out as being a terrible actress because she was about as blank as a human can possibly be. Just nothing.
Even when the person
the deadest eyes ever.
Even when the person that she'd been trying to see or bring back, Nick fucking Fury, shows up.
Right behind her.
Right fucking behind her. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. And why is she at the funeral in the first... If Thor is not at the funeral, why the fuck is she at the funeral? If Nebula, who was building a relationship with him on that isolated spaceship together for what, like a month or two, whatever the timeline was? I don't remember the dates. But it was a significant amount of time where she clearly had feelings for him in some way, shape, or form. She was not there. But Captain Marvel was fucking there. Fuck off.
Yeah.
That was a paycheck you did not have to write at all. At all. You didn't have to make the first movie. You didn't have to put her in this movie. She did nothing. She contributed nothing.
She sure didn't.
But yeah, it just sucks because that moment should have had a ton of emotional punch. People should have been bawling their fucking eyes out, and nobody was reacting in the theater at all when I was there because again, none of the characters were reacting. They all just had flat, unreactive faces because they were told they were at a wedding scene because we gotta keep the secret. Fuck off. If you're gonna put all these characters in the scene and not just isolate them,
Also, who believes that they're in a fucking wedding scene when everyone's wearing black?
Did Pym ever meet Tony?
No.
Why was he there? Why was his wife there?
If anything, Pym only knows Tony's dad.
We even had the fucking kid from Iron Man 3, which I'm pretty sure we've retconned most of that.
I thought that was a figment of his fucking imagination at this point.
I didn't know who he was until I heard Kevin Smith's review with Mark Bernard on Fat Man on Batman or whatever. Fat Man Beyond now.
Yeah,
they changed the name.
Yeah, they did.
But I was like, what? What the fuck? Why? I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I thought we were totally ignoring that movie altogether.
It's like we're trying to make the deepest of cuts.
Because if that movie is valid, that brings in more plot holes to this whole universe sequence and the canon.
It sure does.
Yeah, it's a problem. But it sucks because it's just another wasted opportunity. You're not going to get this opportunity again. You might bring him back and kill him again, but it's never going to have the weight of the first time, and you fucked up. That's what sucks. And then we get to the final scenes in the movie where Captain America is saying, goodbye to Sam and goodbye to Winter Soldier, saying, hey, I'm going to take these stones back. And it's kind of alluded to that Bucky kind of knows what he's planning because he has like a real intimate goodbye with Bucky.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a cool scene. Like, I like how that was handled. And I really like what they did with his story. I thought that was probably, up there top 3 most brilliant parts of the movie is the way they handled Captain America. Because again, everybody knew that Chris Evans hadn't signed on for another contract, and he had made it very clear that he wanted to do other projects, which I understand. You've been doing this for over a decade.
Yeah, that's a significant amount of time for anyone.
But that being said, he's been making plenty of movies on the side, so I don't see what the holdup is.
Like Snowpiercer.
And they're still paying you plenty, so what's, unless you don't enjoy doing it, I don't see why you would stop. But
just keep renewing.
But
like Samuel L. Jackson, who wants to keep doing these movies pretty much until he's dead.
I'm okay with that, as long as he's not in Captain Marvel.
Yeah, can we please not?
Because they ruined his character.
Yeah, they did. It hurts.
But I thought it was a really cool way to handle things. And, he goes back. He should be back after 5 seconds, and he's not. And Hulk, Mark Ruffalo, alludes to how he missed his jump or whatever. And they're wondering where he is. And then I think it was Bucky is the one who kind of nods over to the bench. And Sam turns around, and there you see an old man sitting on the bench. And again, that kind of alludes to that Bucky knew what the plan was and what was going on. He knew this whole time what he was going to do, which is why he had that intense goodbye. And so Sam walks over and realizes, hey, it's Rogers. It's old man Rogers. And he talks about how he lived his life. He's wearing a wedding ring, and he has the shield. And he hands the shield over to Sam and says, hey, it's yours now. And he goes, well, I can't wear someone else's shield. And he goes, you're not. And then I really love the line where Sam asks, hey, do you want to tell me about her? And he goes, no. I thought that was actually really cool because it's like, this is the one thing I'm going to keep for me. This is my experience. This is my thing.
Right.
I thought that was brilliant. And like of the entire movie, this is the only scene for me that had any emotional impact where I was like on the verge of bawling my eyes out. I'm getting teary-eyed right now talking about it.
It's this was the scene that I think it's because of this scene that I consider taking my score back up to a 6.
I don't. I'm sorry. It's staying at 6. But
I won't. I will keep it at a 5 because while I absolutely love how they close this movie with Captain America finally coming home from the war that he had been waging ever since he'd been unfrozen, I love that scene.
Yeah.
I love it to death.
I thought it was brilliant.
But
Uh-oh.
This raises another series of questions.
Yeah, I think we're going full multiverse now. I think we just threw shit to the wind.
Okay,
yeah,
if we're
fuck canon.
if we're throwing shit to the wind, then I guess it's okay that apparently not only did we have a inactive Captain America throughout the 40s up until the current day,
just sitting on his hands,
watching all of this shit go down.
Yep. Just letting Peggy Carter suck his dick.
Which, mind you, is
while Vietnam's rolling on.
Yeah, for
Korean
Peggy
War,
Carter, I would overlook a lot of the world's bullshit.
Cold War.
Yep, all of it.
Yeah, I'm good. I did what I had to. I'm done.
I saved the world. Let me just have this time with my lady, who is still working for what turns into S.H.I.E.L.D. Is she that is...
Does that mean Nick Fury knew? I mean, S.H.I.E.L.D. knew?
What the fuck?
There's a lot of logical questions, but I think the scene was so impactful, I didn't care. And I still don't care quite as much as I probably should on that scene, because the rest of the movie is already ruined by plot holes. That this is the one scene where I'm like, I'm going to give myself this one. I'm going to let this one go so I can have some joy that I desperately need at the end of this movie. Because, again, the ending was so disappointing for me, just because of the plot holes, because of the fat Thor, because of the emotionless scenes, because nobody knew what they were acting with or what they were acting out. And
right.
It was very disappointing. And then that was the one scene where I thought it was acted very well. And I did really enjoy, the dynamic of seeing that closing shot where
it was
Rogers is dancing with.
It's a beautiful shot.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
I've gone full cynic. Marvel has made me go full cynic. It seems as though the more I think about it, the more I've let a lot of things slide. Oh my God.
You're realizing that you are the Star Wars fan that liked Last Jedi. And as people slowly tell you things about the film, you realize, oh my God, I hate this movie. I did that to Dan. Dan loved that movie right out of the theater. I'm like, dude, I think that was a bad movie.
It was like,
I'm not sure yet. I gotta sit on it, but I think that was a bad movie. And he's like, no, that was great. We got old Yoda and stuff. And then I started naming all the plot holes, and he's like, you're right, I hate this movie. And then a week later, he's like, I hate it even more. I was like, yeah. And Dan, for context, is a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not. So.
Oh yeah.
It was kind of funny watching that evolution where once the excitement of the event wore off, he's like, oh no.
Oh no, I hated that movie day one. And the more I think about this movie, I love how
you told me your review. It's another one, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So an average Star Wars movie? No, it's awful. You kept that secret very well.
I did.
And I appreciate that.
I had to let you experience how bad it was for yourself. I couldn't tell you shit because I had to see your face when it happened.
So bad.
And with this movie, I am starting to see just how fan service. This is all fan service.
All of it.
All of it.
Unapologetically.
Top to goddamn bottom. And don't get me wrong, fan service, when done right, is fine. But this is fan service for fan service's sake, as opposed to making sure we tell a good story.
Yeah.
And this was not...
Again, there was there's pieces here, very significant pieces that are brilliant and on paper should be perfect and work well, but because they were so focused on keeping secrets from the actors, because they didn't, make any effort to make a coherent narrative or theme through both Infinity War and Endgame,
Yeah.
it just falls apart. Whereas, Infinity War feels like a really brilliant movie on the intellectual level of kind of, this is a little zealous, but I'd say like a Dark Knight, where you have the gravitas there. You have the depth of the villain's character. You have the depth of all the heroes' characters. Everybody's getting significant screen time to kind of show off and
it's like
portray
Marvel
this perfectly.
finally having like a not just a good villain, but an effective villain.
Yeah, and it was a shorter movie, and it was still that effective and coherent and brilliant, and had very strong, impactful moments. And even though we all knew what to expect at the end, with the snap and everything, it still had a ton of emotional impact because of how they filmed it, how they handled it,
Right.
the people that were involved. It was brilliant. And the acting, again, Peter Parker probably knew, Tom Holland probably knew he was dying in that scene, so he acted it perfectly.
Yeah.
This movie is the exact opposite, where it's just too many shoehorn jokes. None of the things that we should be taking seriously are being taken seriously.
And there are scenes where the actors are being told that something
positive,
something contrary to what should be happening in the scene is happening in that scene, and we get them acting according to what they've been told.
Which to the viewer is like, what is going on? Why are these people here? Why are they behaving this way?
And like,
why is this performance so flat for something that should be the most emotional moment in this cinematic universe's history?
Did no one cry at a funeral anymore? Is that what the fuck this is?
So weird. So weird. Not a single watery eye because they thought they were at a wedding. Just makes no sense. Just doesn't make sense. And it sucks.
It sucks.
The opportunity was there, and
this was the opportunity of a fucking lifetime.
And they whiffed. That's what sucks. They had the opportunity and they whiffed. So for me, we knocked it down a score.
Yeah.
Just talking it through was bringing out even more glaring issues with the movie.
And
now, I don't want to beat this movie up so badly, but I just have to.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed the ride. I didn't feel like the movie was getting slow. In fact, I think it was rushed in a lot of parts, even though it's 3 hours long. And I felt like they needed more room to breathe. Take out the jokes, not all of them, that's you're supposed to be the lighthearted brand.
Right.
Keep some jokes in there, but don't make a joke in every single scene and make the same joke last the entire movie to the point where it's just bludgeoning you over the head while you're trying to get invested in these characters in these big, significant, mind-bending moments. And it's kind of a bummer. And we were joking a little bit about making like the middle of the movie an Ant-Man movie and then making the end with some other content, the big finale. I think that would have been a good option, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the tone is so inconsistent.
It is.
It does feel like you're watching three different movies. In the beginning feels like it should have been the end of Infinity War. The middle feels like it should have been a completely separate movie. And then the end feels like it's the ending to the third movie. In this Infinity War sequence, so it's kind of a bummer, and it as great a moment it is in fandom, it's just a huge disappointment because you're not going to get something like this again without an investment of another decade and a half of movies, starting from scratch. And we're probably not going to get that for quite some time. And, who knows how old we'll all be.
Right.
We should be grateful. Again, I don't want to sound ungrateful that this happened at all. It was just an idea that was given a little seed to sprout, and it blew up into something we couldn't have imagined before Disney even owned the company.
Right. Now, while we should be grateful, there is kind of, at this point, what I would argue is a level of ownership that we as viewers have, because it is our money that we give to them to continue to make these movies. And as such, we have the room to criticize, given how much money each individual person who has been watching these movies since 2008. It's we've all made a significant investment into watching these movies and to keeping these going.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing where we gotta sound off on this.
Yep.
They listen. It's if I have learned anything from watching the internet over the past couple of weeks, is that movie executives and they listen. They listen to the fans because we're the customers.
Yeah, looking at the docket for the next few years, they just released, most of their movie dates, with most of them unannounced for the latter halves, but 2020 and 2021 are pretty much filled up. We know we're getting a Doctor Strange 2. We know we're getting Spider-Man here in a few months or a few days.
No,
it's the end of this month, right?
Far From Home is...
Or is it this summer?
I'm pretty sure that one's in July.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it's this summer.
Because gotta give room to fucking Dark Phoenix.
God, fuck that movie. They delayed New Mutants again. I'm pretty sure that movie's not happening. Even though it's already filmed and been re-edited 6 times, I don't think it's coming.
They're just gonna shelve it.
They should. Why are you even wasting our time at this point?
Right.
It's gotten so much bad press, no one's gonna see it. We honestly, I think the smartest choice to do, even though they have all of these kind of lesser movies on the docket, is to do maybe one more year of these filler characters and then just do a proper reboot, because you got the X-Men now. You don't have any plans for X-Men on the table because you literally just got them. They even talked to some of the, the high execs for the Marvel, Studios branch, and they were saying, as much as we wanted to plan something for the X-Men, for the Fantastic Four, we didn't know what the end result of this deal was. We didn't know if, investors were going to drop out at the last minute.
Right.
And all this and that. And so we couldn't make concrete plans about anything. We could play with ideas, but these movies take years to put in motion, and you have to have a coherent plan or else it's not going to work. And obviously we got the movies from that Fox already created and in progress that we have to finish before we can even entertain the thought of introducing these characters, whether it's Fantastic Four, Doctor Doom, Galactus, Silver Surfer, X-Men. So they have already directly addressed it and said it's probably going to be a long time, and they were talking, estimating 4 or 5 years, before they even get a start at something like this. And I was like, well, if it's going to take that long anyway, that's the last thing that we're waiting on is X-Men universe stuff and Fantastic Four stuff. And you already kind of fucked up Skrulls, so you can't do the Skrull stuff. So what are you gonna do with the remaining cast, which are basically all the sidekicks and Captain Marvel? There's really not much you can do right now, and I'm sorry, but I don't think Shang-Chi is going to sell millions of tickets. I'm sorry.
Only if they marketed right.
Good fucking luck, dude. I'm pretty sure Shazam has more pull than Shang-Chi, and Shazam is a pretty low-key character.
Yeah.
And that was a great movie. So good luck with that.
Ooh, hot take.
Yeah. So they got some tough movies that they got to sell here, and Guardians 3, for example, hasn't even begun production because they had the falling out with James Gunn, and then they just recently had the reunion of James Gunn, and he's still doing the Suicide Squad 2 project before he does Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So really, after Spider-Man, we don't even have a release date for Doctor Strange. They haven't announced which movie is going to be the Doctor Strange one.
Right.
We got some significant time before we have anything of real substance from the Marvel Universe, which is probably a good thing because it can breathe a little bit, but you should be planning your reboot right now. That's what I think. Just let it end the way you did. It's a great ending for the most part. Maybe sold and portrayed a poor way, but it's a good ending on paper what it is. So
yeah,
I think
do a new universe.
I say just finish out these movies and start making plans for the new reboot and new universe with the new Avengers and the new X-Men and everything integrated, because now you don't have to write around studio problems. So that's my thought on it. Again, I had to lower my score to a 6. Do you still want to stick with your 5?
Yep.
Yeah.
Still sticking with that.
Unfortunately, the more you think about the movie, as much as I don't want to, and I wanted to sit back and enjoy it, I just couldn't. And I was talking my girlfriend's ear off, saying, I'm trying not to be that nerdy comic fan that just can't let things go, but I can't let things go. They're driving me crazy.
That is who we are.
Yeah, and I did enjoy the '70s Stan Lee. That was very entertaining.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
a 5.
That's where I think I'll leave it. I don't think we missed any real big things plot wise. I mean, there's several like funny things in there, but again,
minor
just
stuff,
fan service stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's everything. So I want to thank you for sticking with us and listening to our review. Please let us know what you think. Talk to us in the comments. Shoot us a tweet on Twitter at HTVvids. Talk to us on Facebook, facebook.com/hitthebooks. You can talk to us on our YouTube channel via direct message. You can email us at hitthebooksvids@gmail.com. We appreciate you sticking with us, listening. We got a Patreon page, patreon.com/hitthebooks, where you can contribute. Your contributions help both this show and our wrestling podcast, Hit the Mats podcast, that I do with my brother, Dan the Man Maloney, every week. Now that we got the big movie reviews out, we'll see if I see Hellboy, but we should get the regular podcast finally going every week.
Yeah.
But it's too much to edit a podcast and the reviews and then the wrestling podcast and the WrestleMania review.
That's
all in the same week.
Lot.
It's just too much, so I had to cut some corners. So the regular shows should be progressing now that the big pay-per-views are done for the wrestling shows and the big releases are out for a while. Until Dark Phoenix, fuck it. I don't want to see it, but we have to review it.
Yeah, fuck that movie.
And then Spider-Man, which I do want to see.
Yeah.
So, thank you for sticking with us. We appreciate your love and support. And if you have constructive criticism for us, please send it our way so we can improve the show. We are slowly but surely making some changes. And, of course, shout out to our latest Patreon contributor who gave out an amount past the dollar limit for shout out on the show as a producer. Heather Reap, you are awesome.
Hey.
I love you. She's my sister, so but it does help, and I'm very thankful. Thank you very much, Heather. I love you. Yeah, I think that's everything. Anything you want to shout out, talk about? Go see Shazam. It's still in theaters.
Yes, please go see Shazam.
May not be as big as Endgame, but it's a better movie.
Yeah. I just have one last thing to say, and that is Mysterio had better be a fucking villain. If he's not, I swear to God, I'm done.
Oh, you didn't like the Skrulls becoming good guys? What if Mysterio's a good guy?
I swear to God.
He's a good guy. That Gyllenhaal, look at him. He's a pretty guy.
Captain Marvel already fucked me up.
That's a good place to end it.
That is a good... Just kind of trail off into an argument.